This podcast is brought to you by the Arate Media Pantheon. Please head to aratemedia.org to see plenty of podcasts from our friends. And if you would like to start your own podcast, they can provide you all the resources to do so there. So that's aratemedia.org. ARETE media.org. Jordan, shall we finally begin the show?
We shall. Make it so
Hopefully.
number one.
I feel like I should be like make it so number one because I'm the captain.
No, that's why I said that you're number one. I'm number two.
But no, but the captain is the one who said make it so number one. So you'd be number one in this metaphor.
Well, then what would you be? Number zero?
I'm captain.
No, you're number one. I'm number two.
No. But anyway. Welcome to
the show.
Welcome to the Spurr of the Moment podcast, everybody. I'm your host. Flawless intro. Did not get derailed. I'm your host, Justin Spurr, and I'm joined by my co-host. It's just the incomparable Jordan. Everybody, we're very tired today. I apologize.
I'm pretty incomparable though.
You are. There's gonna be some silliness, Jordan. There's gonna be some. So, on today's show, we're gonna talk some news, including. You know what? I think I discovered I like it when I don't give you the news ahead of time, Jordan. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna change the format, Jordan. We're gonna fuddle with the format. I'm no longer.
How dare you?
I'm no longer telling you the news stories at the top of the show. If you want to know the news stories, it's in the description of the video. You can look at that. We're gonna discover them organically as we go, and it's more fun that way.
How dare you, sir?
But later in the show, we're gonna talk about found footage stuff, movies predominantly. Not all horror movies. It's not all paranormal activity. A lot of it's gonna be paranormal activity. There's gonna be a choice involving paranormal activity that Jordan will have to make on the spot.
I make no promises.
Anyway, to begin, Jared Padelecki, handsome actor man. He might be on The Boys.
I had heard something about that. Literally not but 10 minutes ago.
So
on my phone when Google told me about it.
Right? It's apparently because his Texas Walker Ranger show got canceled. And so he's talks.
I thought it was because his brother was on it.
Well, I mean, yeah. So my question is, Jordan, I don't know The Boys. I've never read the comics, so I don't know all the parody heroes. But okay, so Jensen is Captain America. Who's Jared?
I have no idea. I don't know the frame of reference for this at all.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna pick a character that I think best matches the actor because that's more fun.
Okay. But then I'll give you the context.
He's the Green Arrow.
Okay. So Jensen Ackles is obviously on that show. He plays a version of Captain America. Basically, that's what he's a parody of.
So he's gonna be a parody of Green Arrow.
Green Arrow, interesting. See, that's fair because it's not Marvel DC exclusive, right? There's obviously a Superman parody on that show, and there's an Aquaman parody, and obviously Jensen Ackles is Captain America. So Green Arrow parody, sure, I'm into that. That's cool. I'm down for that. But then I kind of feel like he doesn't have superpowers though. What like he's got to be like if you're gonna be a parody superhero, we got to pick one that has superpowers.
No, that's the joke. Because he doesn't have superpowers. He has an arrow that has a boxing glove on it.
I mean, that also would be funny. But also, he could also be because there's a I don't know if they've done it on the show yet, but there is a version of Iron Man in that universe.
No, I don't see him as Iron Man. I picked the character that I could see the actor being.
But he would actually he could pull off a version of Iron Man in that universe.
No. Nah.
But I do agree it's a little on the nose.
If anything, him being against the guy who voice acted a Batman, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it would be funny if he was their Batman.
Oh yeah, okay. I don't know if that universe has. Yeah, I don't know enough about that universe to know if it has a Batman. I don't know that it does. That would be kind of interesting.
That would be funny.
But yeah, the only thing now is we need Misha Collins, and then literally everyone, even Jack, the kid who played Jack, he's on the spinoff. And they've like a bunch of them have all been because it's by the guy.
So my headcanon is that this is just an alternate universe of Supernatural.
Well, it's funny because Uh,
That's actually that the Captain America character that you saw. He's actually just Dean.
well, no, okay, okay. That is my headcanon as well because I believe, and I'm too lazy to pull up Google in this moment, but the guy who plays Bobby,
Yeah,
you know how he's
yeah,
he's Bobby
yeah,
Singer.
yeah, yeah. Idjit.
Well, he's on this show, and I believe his character um is also Bobby Singer. I believe it's the same name because it's a tribute to one of the producers. I
Yeah.
believe it is. In fact, Jordan, vamp for me for a moment. React to that in the moment while I quickly Google this because I would feel
So
like an idiot if I'm wrong.
yeah, if you're gonna have Sam on there, you're gonna have Dean on there, you have Bobby there. I mean, let's just turn this bitch into Supernatural too,
I mean,
or so
just full
the
bore.
other. Just
Yeah,
lean
yeah,
into
he
it. You got to
absolutely is. Yeah, 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 yeah.
you get the guy who
Yeah.
played Chuck to come on and have him be God before God was killed.
Um,
Like this is during that
Chuck.
period when Chuck was going from universe to universe, destroying his universes. You have him show up here and just be God and destroy this
Actually, it's
universe.
funny. The actor who plays him, he is apparently in. I think my friend said that he was in it, and apparently you see Wang. The character's name is Bobby Singer, by the way.
That's
So yeah,
funny.
so because I remember, yeah, saying to my friends that this is part of the supernatural multiverse because it's an AU version of Bobby in a universe where there's superheroes, and yeah, in this universe, this version of Dean is a Captain America. So
Yep.
that
Nope.
was absolutely my headcanon.
That
I'm like,
that's
that's confirmed.
that that's my headcanon
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, I'm definitely I'm interested to see what they do with him
Well,
if he does get
then
to
at
be on the show.
that point, if we're gonna lean into the it's a supernatural thing, then you have to then the guy who plays Sam, he can't be a hero. He has to be a villain because
Oh
then
yeah, 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 absolutely.
You have Satan going against the whole
Well,
Satan
I don't know. It'd be
Dean
kind of
thing.
fun. It would be kind of fun. I know that yeah, Jensen got to come in and be like a real prick and play against type. But I also do think it would be kind of fun if they kind of brought him in as like a weenie, like he's just a goody goody, like a real
Yeah.
like way. But also having him come in and be like just an absolute prick would be fun too. That would be fun. I'm all down for
Mm.
that. But I do think because this next season is the last one, they gotta bring Jensen back. Like what I want for Jared from this, and it's why I want Misha on it, but I do want Misha on it because there's a real fun moment when season 3 of The Boys came out where everyone's like, "Who's this Jensen Ackles fellow? He's pretty good. I like him. Where's he been this whole time? He's come out of nowhere." And all the Supernatural fans are like, "No, man, he's been here the whole time. He's been on Supernatural. He's been pretty good." And it was this
Yeah.
really fun moment. I want that for all of them because yeah, the last season of that show, we talked about it off air, but went harder than it needed to.
Yeah. Until it got screwed by COVID.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Every Supernatural fan would tell you that show got screwed by COVID.
Yeah.
This
It
is what I'm
really
saying.
did.
Everyone's like, do a super. This is a quick aside, and then we'll move on. But they're like, oh, mini series on Netflix. No, screw that. Movie. Okay, don't do the series. But all the budget you would have put into a series, into a season of television, put it into a movie. Do a big finale. Do a big movie. Give it a shit ton of money, and let it be R rated, and let them say swears.
Yeah, and have it be where the prophet Jesus tries to take over. Sam and Dean have to come back from heaven.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Come up with some reason for them to come back one final time, and then yeah, do the big Kansas concert. Like, yeah, you can, and they're totally down
Carry
for it.
on my wayward
Like
son.
nobody on the cast liked the ending, so yeah, they're all down for it. That's my thing. I'm like, for whatever reason, all of these people are always, oh, push for a series, push for like. I didn't love El Camino, but like, I'm really glad that wasn't a series. If that came out now, that movie would have been like a 6 episode series, and it would have been agonizingly boring.
I agree.
But anyway, moving on. Taika Waititi, they're in talks, or he's in talks to direct, and I was just like, you know what? I saw this pairing, and I was like, this is kind of perfect for him. A Huckleberry Finn movie. He's gonna do a reimagining of Huckleberry Finn, and I'm kind of like, you know what? What I know of Huckleberry Finn of being like kind of a mischievous, kind of like one-liner esque character, I'm like, you know what? Tom Sawyer. He's Tom Sawyer's friend.
I I mean, okay, I know who he is, and I know what you're talking about. I'm just uh, okay. On the one hand, okay, sure, cool, fine, whatever. I have no strong appealing feelings about that one way or the other. But then the other part of my brain, the slightly larger part of my brain, is like, who is asking for a Huckleberry and Finn movie?
Huckleberry Finn movie in 2024. Probably the same people who would ask for a Mark Twain movie, or not Mark
Yeah,
Twain.
yeah, I would be
Tom
saying the
Sawyer,
same
a
thing to
Tom Sawyer
that.
movie.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, why, what, where, when,
I,
why,
again, I'm
how,
of a similar mind,
why?
except for I'm
Really,
like,
I'm just gonna keep going back to that one W. Why?
my thing is like I'm of the two minds. I agree with you. Who is asking for that? But on the other hand, I'm like, yeah. Also, Taika Waititi, an independent, low budget. It's kind of folksy. It's kind of a
Yeah,
fit.
sure, okay. I'm not saying it's not, and I don't disagree with that assessment. And cool, that's great that
But
he's
right
getting that
back to why.
opportunity.
But right back to
But
why.
my mind just goes back to that one W question. Why?
Why? Why?
Why? I
Fair,
don't get it. That's okay. Rant done.
fair, fair. So Jordan, I pulled up this article about Monsters Inc. 2, and I didn't read it.
Is
So
that a thing?
that's we're gonna play this game, Joe.
Because
We're gonna play.
because I saw because every now and then I see
Okay, hold on,
pictures
hold
on
on,
Facebook
hold on. Don't say
of like,
anything. Don't say anything yet. Don't say anything yet. Don't say anything yet. Um,
but I have such strong feelings.
hold on. We're gonna play. We're gonna play.
Oh,
What is this article? We're gonna play. What is this
what was
article?
that?
That was an airplane.
Oh, I heard it. I heard it not through my like out through here, but through your microphone.
Oh, weird. Yeah, it was an airplane. So no, we're gonna play. We're gonna play. It does this article say if Monsters Inc. 2 is happening or not, or is it the directors being like, "Nah, never gonna happen"? Which side do you think it is?
Hmm. Never gonna happen.
You think it's not never gonna happen? I think
I
it's I think it's not never gonna happen because there's the show. That the show is basically Monsters Inc. 2, right?
Yeah,
Right? Okay.
yeah.
So
As I understand
big
it.
reveal, Jordan. Monsters Inc. 2 sequel update given by Pixar's Pete Doctor. Blah blah blah. Recently shared an update. Blah blah blah. Oh man, I hate it when fluffy. Uh, I always thought that there was some rule that there would be the formula for what films become franchises or what get sequels. There isn't. It's much looser. Blah blah blah. Oh my god, get to the point. Oh yeah, no, yeah. We've been searching for ideas for a Monsters Inc. sequel for a long time, and we still haven't found enough to start working on anything yet. So Jordan, it's not happening.
Yeah, that's what I thought. What I was gonna say is every now and then on Facebook I see these posts of like movie posters or movie like things for sequels to movies and they're never real. And
Right?
so I saw one about Monster Thing too where it was like there's like the Sully is the CEO, Mike is the top laugher or whatever. And like they're having Monsters Incorporated is having like a power shortage, and
Yeah,
like they have to yada 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 yada. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's just the show.
that is definitely just a show.
Like I'm like that's not a sequel. That's just the show. Which I don't. I sort of fell off that because they stopped putting it on Disney Plus because it was on. I guess because it was on Disney Channel. So
Oh,
they weren't putting it immediately onto Disney Plus. So like
oh,
there's been like an entire second season that's happened that I just I'm aware of,
oh.
but I don't know all the so like I know
I saw one of the big twists in the second season. I was like, wow, that's
yeah,
really boring.
like I know Randall comes back at a certain
Yeah,
point, and the one dude from the Monsters University
yeah,
movie
I knew that. Yeah,
comes back again, and I'm like, okay, that's so that yeah, there's your sequel. That's your
yeah.
sequel. That's taking place after the first, and that's the sequel.
My thing
Of
is,
course
I
they don't
guess.
have it. Of course they don't have any ideas for a goddamn movie that's been going into this terrible quality show.
Well, I think that what where they're probably at with the sequels are like they would have to contrive a way to bring Boo back into it, and I think I've always been like, go back, go to the kid is older now. Go to like the kid is a teenager and like teenager. Always go to teenager. Never go to adult. Go to teenager, and have it where it's like she has like grown up and forgotten it, and have it where it's like they have to reconnect. Um, and have it be about like growing up and whatever because they do
Yeah.
really good with growing up because the Toy Story and the Inside Out movies are phenomenal hits.
I mean, clearly what they need to do is soft confirm the Pixar theory and have it be that Boo is actually Violet from Incredibles.
They almost did. There's a bunch of interviews I saw they did when they were promoting Inside Out 2, where someone brought up one of the theories and he was like, I like these theories and they're fun and maybe basically one of those. Um, so
um,
so okay. So this next story, Jordan, it's not really a story so much as an opinion. Jordan, this is the question: agree, disagree. Ryan Reynolds says Logan is possibly the greatest comic book adaptation. Now, I have my opinion, but let's start off binary: agree, disagree. Then we go nuance. That's how this show works. I just got.
Disagree.
I just immediately disagree because okay, I'll say my. Let me say my justification first. It's not a good adaptation. It's a good movie. It's a very good comic book movie, but it's not a good adaptation. And I know I'm like getting pedantic, but this is nerd shit. This is what we do. Like it's not a good adaptation. Like if it's adapting Old
That's
Man Logan, it's a bad adaptation of
yeah,
Old Man Logan. Which like
I
I
would agree
don't
with
need a
that.
one-to-one adaptation of Old Man Logan. That story's
No.
gross. I like
My
Logan
my
more.
my thing is when you're like greatest comic book adaptation ever, that's a strong statement. To
Right?
say any to pick I have a hard time picking one as the greatest of like the best of the best of the best.
Right?
If I had to choose the best, I'd probably say Watchmen.
Oh, but that's not a good adaptation. That's a bad
I
adaptation.
I don't know. I think it's
Like
pretty good for what it is.
I mean, it depends. It depends on what you're talking. Like, if you're talking about stories, there really
Like,
isn't.
does it have to be a one-to-one adaptation, or is it just like an adaptation of what makes a thing a thing? So,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
for Spider-Man, a lot of those movies are good examples of like what makes a Spider-Man, but
Yeah,
they're not necessarily adaptations of a specific comic book
yeah.
story.
Like today I listened to I finished
Actually,
listening to
I suppose I would maybe say the Infinity Saga.
yeah, yeah, overall, but even then, like individually, no, they're not. I mean, yeah, Iron Man, but more in just aesthetic, not in terms of story.
Yeah,
It's like that. Yeah, you're right
that's
with
so
the Raimi Spider-Man movies. Like, yeah, that's a really good representation of what a Spider-Man comic looks like. But I realized today I finished the audio drama version of Craven's Last Hunt, which honestly, I won't. Despite how much I've been shitting on it, it comes together in the end. And I don't know if it's like the performance of this audio drama for Jordan. I'm gonna recommend it for you to burn a credit on maybe one day. It's good.
add it to the list.
The performances in it towards the end are quite good. It's as a story, it's a lot of Spider-Man. Why me? Like moping and like whining. He doesn't really become Spider. Like that's kind of the whole point of it.
Don't
But
love that.
but like Craven is so good, and there's a character in it. It's also fun because it takes place at a particular point in Spider-Man's kind of timeline, and so it's just you can tell where he's at. He's a more like grizzled, like older Spider-Man. Whereas I started listening to after it Maximum Carnage, where it's like a Spider-Man who's like very young, and he described going to the Daily Bugle as a place he likes to go to. So it's just kind of funny to see Spider-Man in two completely different periods of his career. But I realized listening to that none of the movies have really been good adaptations to bring it back around. I'm like,
Mm.
when you get down to it, it's like, yeah, no, none of the movies have really gotten this character right because like my favorite part of that Carnage is where he's just kind of swinging along, and he just kind of bumbles his way into a thing. Like it's not like the thing comes after him like in all the movies. He just kind of just stumbles into it. I'm like, yeah, that's Spider-Man. Spider-Man is just stumbling into shit. Like that's
Yeah.
like yeah, the movies have never really captured that. The cartoons
I
very
think the
much have.
closest. I
But
think the closest is Tom Holland's in terms of
yeah,
stumbling into things.
yeah. That's where I say Homecoming is the best Spider-Man movie, just objectively.
I would
Objectively, it
agree
just
with
is
that.
flat out. Um, but no, yeah, I don't, and even I would say as far as being an adaptation like of style. I mean, Deadpool's a better adaptation than Logan in terms of straight adaptation. I mean, he leaps off the page. Like
Yeah, I would agree with that.
again, Logan is a. If you want to talk about like, oh, superhero movies can be.
It's a great movie and it's a
Oh
great
yeah,
art piece,
yeah,
but
exactly.
it's
If you want to be like make
you know,
the argument that superhero movies are art, that movie's fucking art. Like it's beautiful. It is a beautiful
mm,
movie, and yeah, very much. I was like, ah, man, I don't know that I want Wolverine coming back and like and like tinkering with that. It's just it was such a beautiful ending for that character, um, and Xavier. I felt the same way about Xavier, but yeah, no, I don't think it's a great adaptation. Anyway, this has been fun. Um, Jordan, apparently they're still working on an Adventures of Tintin 2, which I put
oh
in here
really?
because I knew you'd be stoked on that.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm
I
really
know.
happy about that.
It's
Do we know which stories they're going to be?
no, it just says that it's still in development, which I mean, I'm not hopeful because the last one didn't do well and it wasn't like a really well
You
received.
shut you shut your horror mouth. I want that to
I
do
want it
better.
so
I
bad.
want
I
it.
want it so bad. No, I love
I want
Tintin,
them
man.
I want them to do the one where he goes to the moon.
I mean, maybe though in the next one make him look a bit more like the animated version and a little less like Jamie Bell.
I mean, yeah, sure, fair. But, I want them to do the one where they go to the moon.
Yes, absolutely.
I
Absolutely,
don't
yeah.
know how they would explain it or what the context would be or if it would just be its own story or whatever, but that's the one that I want.
I mean they did a pretty good job with that of just doing
It's
the
just one
thing.
of his
It's just one to
adventures.
one. That's
Yeah.
a that movie is an incredibly faithful adaptation. I think the only thing it just fudges a few things to
Uh,
like connect. I think a few stories, but I think it's pretty much no. I think it adapts a two parter. I think I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
pretty that a lot of those episodes back in the day. So like the moon one was like a six-parter.
Yeah, yeah.
Um because it had the first three parts where it introduced the professor and then the next three parts where they actually go to the moon.
Yeah, now that's what's so funny about like Speed Racer's the same thing. It was so surprising to me because I'm like, these shows clearly predate syndication or the concept of syndication because
Or it was just different back then.
because shows in the 80s, like, yeah, again we go back to Dungeons and Dragons, like or Transformers. Like you can watch any episode of Transformers in like pretty much any order because that's the design. They want to be able to just put it on and put it in front of kids. Whereas like yeah, there's such deliberate effort to serialize storytelling in the 1960s, which is where
Hmm.
that show is from. Um, but yeah,
That's exciting.
yeah. I'm hoping it happens. I'm hoping it happens. Apparently, they're still working on it. Jordan, you
You
remember
know
that
what,
show?
Justin? I'm committing right now.
No.
If
Oh,
that if that comes to theater, we're watching that one in theater.
in theater? I mean, yeah, I'll go watch it in theater. Oh man,
Yeah,
son.
you have the light of the Lord behind you there again,
I'm
Justin.
so sorry. That's the one downside to a nice camera is
It's really just that one side that we
I
need to
know.
block because that's where all the light is reflective.
I'm gonna
Maybe
have to
if you
find a
just
way.
shift to your right. Sorry, your left. A little bit more. There, that's perfect.
No, whatever. The audio
Now
is all
just
that matters.
now, now just duck down. Just
More?
duck down a little more.
A little more?
Just keep going.
A little more?
Just keep going.
I can't go
Yeah,
that
just go
far.
right off the screen. Okay, well, yeah.
Um,
There's your
no,
problem.
we're
We'll
gonna have
just get
to
a cardboard cutout of you and we'll put it there and it'll be
we're
great.
gonna have to work on a curtain situation because, like, yeah, this is not great for anyone watching on YouTube right now. I apologize. I'm so sorry. The weather has been uncompromising and difficult today. Anyway, Jordan, you remember the show Totally Spies?
Yeah, I do.
Apparently, they make
I
it
didn't
a.
well, I didn't watch it, but I remember it.
I would watch the occasional episode, but uh, never, nothing ever. I mean, I more watched it since, like Sis Brother Show, Martin Mystery. Fun fact: there's a crossover episode between those two shows.
Interesting.
But yeah, they're making a live action movie for Amazon. And I'm like, really?
Oh,
Did that franchise go
so
away or is this coming back? I'm not sure.
So they're making teenage Charlie's Angels.
Pretty much, because that's pretty much what that show was.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's
yeah.
funny. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I without watching the trailer, Jordan, what do you think? Okay, okay, hold on. Okay. No, the article is telling me it's okay. What do you think Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports is?
Uh, is it like one like back in the day when they had that one where all the Hanna-Barbera characters raced against each other, except now they're sports?
I mean, it looks like he's predominantly just the Looney Tunes. And Jordan, you want to know what this game is? It's 2v2 arcade
Oh, it's a
basketball.
video game.
It's a
Oh,
video
oh,
game.
okay. I thought you were asking. I thought it was like a movie.
Oh, no, sorry, yeah, it's a video game.
So like I'm like I don't know what kind of movie could that be? It's like that one where they race, but it's sports now.
But it's sports now? No, it's
It's a game,
it's a game, yeah.
basketball game.
Yeah, it's various sports basically, from the looks of it.
Oh,
I,
so
I
it's
didn't
like so it's like Wii Sports, but with Looney Tunes.
I guess I didn't get a chance to watch the trailer. I pulled it to watch it and I never
Well,
did.
well, that's a real howdy do,
Yeah, we're
Justin.
just gonna have to speculate. It's probably fun. I'm assuming it's fun. Jordan, you wanna know what joke that
I'm assuming it's not.
you wanna know what joke that the director for Deadpool and Wolverine said that Disney was like it's a no-go?
T.J. Miller.
No, so remember that bit in the trailer where they were like, Disney said we were allowed to joke about cocaine. Apparently that was the one. We weren't allowed to joke about
Oh,
cocaine.
I assumed it was T.J. Miller because I don't think he's in that movie.
He's not in that movie. That was really funny. It was like, yeah, I didn't. I turned that down because you don't come back for the third one. And
But
it
no,
was like perhaps
then
it's
then
because you
then
shat talked Ryan Reynolds for an entire
I was
second before
I
they
was gonna
filmed it.
say, and then he proceeded to insult Ryan Reynolds, and
I
it's
know,
like, no, that's
and
why
then
you
we
didn't get
buried
him
the
back.
hatchet, and then they said, no, we don't really need you for the third one, bud. We're not doing multiverse with the Weasel character. That's a really bad T.J. Miller impression. I apologize. I apologize to the
You
audience.
should. You
You know
should
what?
apologize to
You know
the
what?
audience.
No, it was
The-
okay. It was okay for a moment, and then it became not
you
okay.
you should apologize to the audience, me, the internet, but not T.J. Miller.
TJ Miller, I'm so obnoxious that Michael Bay didn't like me. He killed me off immediately. Seriously, he was famous when that movie came out, and that movie kills him immediately. Like he's one of the more famous people in anyway. The movies were bad. Um, that's the news, guys. Jordan, we managed to round out an even 20. Jordan, incredibly, incredibly, because we now do stories go on forever, Jordan. Incredibly, that went 27 minutes.
High five.
Yeah, managed to make 9 stories last 27 minutes. We are amazing podcasters.
I am the champion,
I
my
forgot. We gotta do the
friend.
sponsorship, and I forgot to mention that this episode, it's been a day. I forgot about our sponsor. Our sponsor for this week is the Goosebumps crew and One Weekend at Horrorland. Guys, we keep saying this every week, and we cannot emphasize it enough. This event's gonna be sick. Okay, there's gonna be all kinds of great guests at this event.
And you should donate at the Kickstarter.
You
That will
absolutely,
be in the description below.
you absolutely should. You absolutely should.
We
Should.
did.
We
We
definitely
did, and
did.
we're more attractive for it. You could be
We're
too.
all the more attractive for it. And
And then in the disclaimer it will say, warning, may not actually make you more
I mean,
attractive.
it's also not. You don't have to pay it now. It's just a pledge, and like
It's just a
you
pledge.
easily could donate like $30, put like $15 aside a week. $15. That's not that much a week, and then you get this
Because
sick ass
because
event.
remember, because remember, for pennies a day, you too could feed an orphan. They eat
They
pennies.
eat pennies, and also at this event, okay, Cal Dawn, the voice of Slappy from the original show, and Wolverine, Jordan. Wolverine is the voice of Wolverine is going to be at this event. That's sick. That is
He's
sick.
he's Wolverine. He's Wolverine, Bob.
Tim Jacobus, the illustrator of the original Goosebumps covers. Like legit, those covers used to scare the absolute bejeebus out of me, man. Like I got so scared one time when I was a kid, I turned it away so I wouldn't have to look at it. Like it was that freaky. Like the artwork's good.
And I mean, who knows? I can't say for sure, but maybe he'll draw you something if you pay him enough money.
Or certainly in if you go and you pay and you get one of the, I can't remember which package it is. You get one of the books. You can have him sign it. Might be worth something.
Exactly.
The puppeteer of Slappy from the movies, Avery Jones, he's gonna be there. Craig White is gonna be there. Alan Doucette, author Debbie Lynn with her series, which isn't Goosebumps, but it is Goosebumps related. It's in the same genre. And also, if you're a music fan, there's gonna be performances by Valena and Again and Forever. Seriously, guys, gotta get in on this. You gotta donate to this Kickstarter. We did as the show. We donate to it. We believe in it. We've been pushing it. We're gonna keep pushing it till the end. We believe in it. We're gonna be there virtually, even if we can't be there in person. You should be there too. $20 gets you there virtually. The link to the Kickstarter is in the description.
And I mean, really, there's no excuse not to. Just do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
$20. That's $10 a week. You can afford $10 a week. What is that? What is that? What is it? The boomers say.
I mean, you know,
one less Starbucks.
Instead of going to McDonald's for that cheeseburger, go to the Goosebumps, the Kickstarter, and pledge. Not even give them the money right away, but pledge that several weeks in the future you won't go and get that cheeseburger, and you'll do this instead.
Right? Like you know what? I'm going full moral 80s panic. Think of the children. Think of the children.
I mean, really, what else can you say but put down the fork?
Put down the fork.
And go to Goosebumps and do this.
And do this. Won't they think of the children?
Who will think of the children?
One weekend at Horrorland. Who will think of the children? Okay. Let's move on to today's topic. Speaking of children.
Flawless
today's
ad.
Topic. Flawless ad. Today, the topic of this week is we found some footage in found footage. It's found footage, everyone. I'm awkwardly trying to pull up my notes. That's the Spider-Man theme song.
That's the Spider-Man theme. Sorry, I dropped the ball there.
So Jordan has opted to select the non superhero found footage stuff. Not superhero. The non-horror found footage. I have gone with a horror bent. It's Paranormal Activity. We're going to be talking about Paranormal Activity.
Opted to, was told to. Who could really be
Did you want to watch 7 Paranormal Activity movies, Jordan?
I think you know I didn't.
Exactly. Jordan, one of them is good. We'll get to it. Jordan, what is your first one?
My first rapid fire?
Yes. Go, Jordan. Go.
I watched Project X. It's a movie about teenage kids at a high school that want to do a game changer, and they throw a wild party, and there's boobs.
They're
and
class 5 rager.
It's a class 10 rager. Did you see what they did to the pool? They didn't flip it, but they did drive a car into it.
The funny thing about that movie is I worked at the movie theater when that movie came out, and I remember that movie was in the zeitgeist. Like everyone was trying to replicate it. It was I knew people. I actually knew people in real life who were trying to replicate that party, and no one managed it. A lot of people got arrested trying, but nobody managed it. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it's there's not a lot to say about it. It's just one long party.
It's one of those movies that people go, "Oh yeah, it exists."
It's basically that part in The Hangover where they're blacked out and doing all the party. It's like if you got to see that part of the movie, exactly. and that was the movie.
So okay, though so remember how you were like, you're asking me the question. So the question of the week is this a found footage movie? Do you believe that someone picked up this footage and is just watching it off the cuff? Oh god, here comes the angry angel light. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I apologize to the audience this week. I'm so tired.
Yeah. I believe that a new student,
I'm the woohoo kind of tired.
I believe that like either the police took the camera as evidence,
So okay,
or the
but a caveat to this, and I realized this. So part of like what makes a few of the movies I'm going to be talking about unbelievable is like it cuts to like multiple people's like phones and cameras on their phones. Like, so you're telling me like someone got all these people's phones, collected all this footage, and edited it together seamlessly, so it would cut intercut between them. Like I don't know. I don't. This does not feel like
in
found footage, and
in
I
in
will
my
get to the metric of what I consider to be found footage in a moment.
in in my example of Project X, I believe the police got it as evidence
Okay, but so is it edited
because
together as though it were
because
police footage, or is it like is there?
yeah, like as if it was like in a court case against them later
Okay,
on
okay,
as
okay.
evidence of everything. Because at a certain point, like at the end, you see basically, like when you get to the end of the movie and it's like this, like such and such happened to such and such,
Yeah,
blah blah
yeah,
blah blah, blah like that.
yeah.
A bunch of the characters, it's like they're still facing legal troubles. Costa, the one who started it all,
Oh,
gets off scot free because he has his parents can afford a really expensive lawyer. Um, so like yes, I believe that the police and the courts and stuff gathered as much evidence as they could, and we're just seeing it all stitched together.
so okay. Here's another question I will ask, and then I'll do my first one. Unless you have anything else you want to add to this.
No, no, I don't have much to.
Um,
It's a movie.
do
It's a movie about a party. You're seeing a
here
party. It's a
here's
party. There's a party.
here's the second part of the question. Do they present it as though it were real?
I mean, as far as they're concerned, yeah.
No, no, no. But I mean, like, does the movie try to? Is the movie trying to be like, these are real events. This is really happening. Like, is it trying to convince you that this really happened?
I
When you're
mean,
like, it looks like
kind of.
it's like footage in a court case.
I mean, I'm not saying it looks like footage in a court case. I'm saying you asked me if in this world, if someone would have found this
Got it.
footage.
Got it.
I'm
Got it.
saying in this world, to me, it's believable that a court is
Got it. Got
like
it. Got it.
they essentially started a class 5 riot.
Got it. Got it.
There were flamethrowers in the neighborhood burning houses down. The one kid is absolutely being held liable for all the
So
damages that were
so
caused. Like,
so okay. So what I mean is, so my first rapid fire. I only have two rapid fires. Um, for reasons that we'll get into later. But um, so sorry.
I have
Sorry.
three. I have three.
Um.
I mean, I had five, but we're cutting two of them off the bat,
Well,
so I have
well,
three.
well. Okay, okay. I see. We might not cut them. I realize, and I'll explain why once we get to paranormal activity. We'll get there. Sorry. After my second rapid fire, I'm gonna give you a choice. Anyway, my first rapid fire. Anyway, Blair Witch Project. I had to do the original granddaddy of these movies. Well, not the original granddaddy. That would be Cannibal Holocaust. And no, no. Jordan, look at me. Jordan, look at me. Jordan, you're not looking at me. I need you to, like, turn.
No, I mean, I am looking at you.
Jordan, I need you to, like, turn your head and give me, like, profile. No, 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 like profile. Like, do that. Jordan,
Now I'm looking at the wall.
Jordan,
I'm
Jordan,
not looking at you.
Jordan. No, no. Jordan, do you understand me? We clear? And if you know that movie, you know why? No, never. Gross. Yuck. Boo. Boo and yuck. But this is the second. This is the second. This is the not the great granddaddy, but the granddaddy. Anyway, Blair Witch Project. That went on for too long. Blair Witch Project. Yeah, this is like the original one of.
Hey, that's a movie.
Yeah, this is the very original, like, found footage movie, and very much when this movie came out. I don't know if you remember the Blair Witch Project when it came out. We were quite young. Um, but I remember a big part of the promotional campaign was convincing people that it was real. Like, this was real footage that they found off of someone's real camcorder. Um, and I remember a friend convincing me that it was real. Like, I thought that because I didn't watch it until years later. Another friend convinced me to watch it. I had never watched the movie, but yeah, when I was quite young, a friend. So I thought that this was real. For years and years, I very much remember. And
Silly,
it's very
silly Justin. Ghosts aren't real.
well. It's funny. It's funny when you watch it. It's funny because it is the way it's shot. It's very much shot like it's someone's like camcorder in 1999 when this movie came out. I was like, yeah, I filmed home videos that looked like this, that sounded like this, and I've watched it before and I didn't really appreciate it. This time I was like, yeah, this is really cool because a big part of it is you definitely don't remember the Blair Witch Project, but very short abbreviated summation of it is they go into these like haunted woods looking for this ghost witch whatever, and a big part of the movie is them like getting lost and going around in circles and like getting emotional and like fighting with each other, and then they find a house and then they die in the end. But there's a lot of really good like scenes of the girl just like being absolutely distraught, and it's one of those movies um where there wasn't really a script. Like there was ideas for what they wanted to do for the scenes, but a lot of it was just improvised. So they were like, okay, this is kind of what we want to do, vamp. And it allows a lot more for like natural organic emotions. So it makes it feel more real. So like it's believable that like yeah, you could see how somebody could maybe be convinced that it might be real. Like I was like, yeah, it's really good, and it launched the genre of movie we're about to talk about. Anyway,
Right.
that's Blair Witch. But that's the metric what I mean where it's like, is it trying to convince you that it's real? Because spoiler alert, Paranormal Activity is also trying to convince you that it's real.
I mean, like a lot of the ones that I'm watching, they are in the way that all movies are.
Fair,
Like,
fair. It's not trying to convince you it's reality.
yeah,
So
like
I will cease
it's
the question
it's
after that. For the ones that are obvious, like Chronicle and Project Almanac, obviously, yeah, skip that question because yeah, obviously. But anyway, what's your next rapid fire?
my next rapid fire is As Above, So Below. I did dip my toes into horror with this one movie and Cloverfield, if you consider that to be one,
I know. We'll get into it.
um, but As Above, So Below. They go below Paris. They end up in hell. They come back from hell. It's a horror
I
movie.
remember not
It's
liking
good.
it.
I I, I like that one.
I remember not liking the ending. That's all I remember about it. But I remember like was yeah really unsettling.
Yeah, it depends on how much you of a claustrophobic person you are. Uh, we have a comment. 96 baby sends some sort of emoticon.
All right.
I don't know exactly what it. I think it's a box with a cat in it.
Cool.
Um,
Hi there, ho there.
hi.
We're gonna continue. We're gonna keep
Anyway,
trucking along.
as above, so below. Um, yeah, it made me feel really claustrophobic.
Yeah.
I no, you would not catch me in those the tiny little place like that. But it's a one which is filled with quite a bit of metaphor. It's a representation of Dante's Inferno. Um, and yeah, that's the one of the ones that I was telling you about earlier, where it's like I watched it this time and I'm like, hey, it's Jonah from Superstore from
Oh,
the
that's funny.
TV show.
That's funny.
And I'm like, I saw this first. I saw this movie first, so I
Yeah,
actually know him from this.
that's funny.
But I didn't remember that he was in
That's
this.
happened to me before. I just
Um,
off the top of my head can't think of an example. I'm sure it has.
um, but
Oh right, he was
and
he was on
he's in
this.
He's in Cloverfield as well.
Oh, that's funny. That's weird.
Um, so that yeah, that's it's very funny. But yeah, this movie is I like it. You
I,
know,
I remember thinking it was all right. To be fair,
uh,
I don't remember having. Other than not liking the ending, I remember not having. I just don't remember why I didn't like the ending.
I just remember it being confusing.
Um. So okay. So that was it. That's all you got for whatever the movie was.
It's a pretty simple, basic movie. I did see one person. Oh, there was a description that someone had for it, which I was like, oh, that's really fitting. Um, I think it was something to the effect of it's it's a really tense Tomb Raider movie.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. That's interesting.
Because it's Tomb Raider. She's
Yeah.
climbing through a tomb. She's looking for a treasure. She wants the Philosopher's Stone,
Yeah.
and it's super tense.
So okay, so I guess we'll ask the question, Jordan. Is this found footage? Do you believe someone found this footage?
In this world, yeah, I believe someone could have because they escape at the end with the camera.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So for my next one, my last rapid fire, technically, I suppose. Um, it's really cool. It was a Canadian movie, called Afflicted, and um, this one's gonna take me a bit because this movie's fucking awesome and metal as fuck, and I want to give it its due respect because it's Canadian and it's super awesome, and just for the YouTube short, it's it's no, it's a great movie. It's just jump straight to the end, really really good, but it's about these two friends, one of which discovers that he has some sort of illness that he could die from any moment. So they decide to go on this world trip, and they decide that when they go on this world trip, that they are going to document it in like YouTube style. And so a lot of the early parts of the movie are this almost like YouTuber influencer style. Like it really reminded me of the Try Guys, like just documenting their trip through like Europe or whatever. And the guy who's dying meets up with this girl, and yada yada yada. Long story short, he becomes a vampire, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, as one does.
W- What a twist!
Yeah, and it's honestly really, and then so then the next part of the movie is like him and the other friend kind of testing out his vampire power. So he's got like, I don't know if it's traditional vampire powers, but like super strength, super speed, like he can jump really high, and the movie's really cool because it's really cool. I love movies where they do like setup and payoff. So it's like, yeah, there's a bit where it starts off where you see this like harness which they can put the camera in, and he's like, yeah, I can put this harness on and you can see the camera, so you can see my perspective wherever I go. It's really cool. And then the next time you see this harness, the guy's got it on, and you see he does this like massive jump, and you can see he's wearing the camera, and then it culminates in a moment at the end of the movie where it's now the movie is from the guy who's the vampire's perspective, and he does this massive jump, and it's from his perspective, and it looks fucking sick. Like it's so cool. um but anyway, so yeah, the guy who becomes a vampire, he obviously just realizes he needs blood, and he has a sort of a moral qualm about obviously killing people and sucking their blood. And they try animal blood, they try all that sort of stuff. No
Drinking
good.
people.
Yeah, and then they try to drink like blood from like the hospital. No good. Realize it has to be fresh, and so the guy starts to become like Nosferatu style monstrous vampire. Kills his
Picky,
friend,
picky.
eats his friend, drinks his friend, and turns back to his regular self. And is like, "Fuck, man, I killed my friend." And there's just this really harrowing scene where the guy just kind of like silently sits there for a minute and goes poof and just takes himself out. And he comes back to life, and he's alive, and he finds that he can't kill himself. And then yeah, the movie from that moment on is from his perspective, and there's all these really cool scenes from his perspective. And long story short, he kidnaps an associate of in order to track down the woman vampire who turned him into a vampire. He kidnaps one of her associates, and because he's killed the friend, Interpol is now like looking for him. And he like just like there's a scene at the end where he like just massacres a whole room of Interpol people, and it's all from like first person perspective, and it's so like it's just awesome. It's just super fun, and it's just super cool because it's Canadian, and it's honestly really cool. It's not really scary, but it's really fun, and it's honestly really good. Full bore recommend. Really good.
Good to
And it's
know.
really funny because it's one of those ones that we saw in the theater, and it's funny because you've seen this movie, but you don't remember it because it was one of
No.
those times where there was a bunch of shithead teenagers behind us who wouldn't shut up, and they ruined the movie.
So
And it's a really good
so
movie.
so then the question is that I have to pose to you. Do you think that someone found this footage?
Absolutely, yeah. Initially, I was like, who would film this? And the movie does. It's really interesting because a trope I noticed, and I don't know
And
if you
who
know,
found it?
he posted it. He posted it. Because the whole thing is he starts to document the experience in order to honor the
So
friend who he
so then If he posted it, was it found?
I guess I suppose not. But also, I forgot to mention the ending because I would totally watch a sequel to this movie. That was the other point. A sequel to this movie would be awesome because, um, he eventually he finds the lady vampire who is basically like, yeah. There's this really confusing scene where she's like, I would never intentionally turn someone into a vampire. Um, it's horrible because you have to eat, you have to kill people for the rest of your life, or turn this monstrous thing that never endlessly and indiscriminately kills things anyway. So she's like, it said you had to kill, never said you had to kill good people. You could kill bad people. And so then the god's like, I'm gonna murder bad people. Um,
Punisher of death,
yeah, and he's like, oh, if I gotta eat people, I can eat bad people. And so then there's a mid-credit scene where you find
where
out
he's
that
a
the
prison guard.
no, we find out. Well, the ending of the movie is him. He's got this like pedophile who he's about to eat, and then it goes to a mid-credit scene, and you find out that the friend who you think that he killed actually survived and is now a vampire. So I'm like, I would totally. So I'm like, then the movie's like, well, you're only monstrous when you haven't eaten. Once you eat, you go back to being normal until you don't eat. Unless you don't eat enough, then you turn into that monster, the monster form. So it's like, yeah, once he eats, he'll become normal, like temporarily, like normal again. So like,
Yeah, so clearly he needs to get a job at a prison, drink the criminals, and make it look like they got shanked by other
right,
criminals.
right. But no, I'm saying what I'm saying is I would totally watch a sequel where it's like the two friends like travel Europe and like take down evil bad guys as two vampire buddies. Like that, I would watch that movie. That sounds like a
I'd
badass
watch.
movie.
I'd watch that movie,
Yeah,
but in practicality of his day-to-day life, he'd probably just be easier getting a job as a prison guard
probably, probably. But
and
no,
framing other criminals, making it look like
but
they
yeah,
shanked their fellow
I didn't know
criminals
it was I didn't know it was Canadian. I was like,
in
yeah, this is.
in in the neck,
And
in
what's
two
really
exact spots that are teeth marks apart.
what's really
You know,
cool is it's funny because yeah, there's the whole like YouTuber element to it. And initially their idea was they were gonna post a series of YouTube videos, kind of like I don't know if you're this is reference is too dated for you, like Lonely Girl 19 kind of style YouTube video, where it's gonna be like vlogs or whatever, and it was gonna get progressively more and more deranged. And then the movie was
so
gonna
they were gonna make
explain.
it. They were gonna make it into an ARG.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess yeah, if that's what that's called. And then the movie was going to explain it. I was going to be like, oh, he's a vampire, and I'm like that's kind of clever. Like that's kind of, but yeah, I'm like yeah. I was like yeah, I don't know who would post this. I'm like, and I'm like yeah, Logan Paul. Logan Paul would probably post if his friend got turned to a vampire. He'd probably post it,
Certainly, one of the Pauls would.
right? But no, yeah, good movie, great movie. Yeah, and I was really like, oh yeah, I didn't know this was Canadian. I was like, oh, this is really quite good. Good movie, totally recommend. It's not. I don't think it's that scary. I think it's more fun than scary. Um, but yeah,
Scary is scary is in the eye of the beholder.
yeah. We'll describe what is and is not scary as we get into the paranormal activity movies. Which are coming next? Spoiler alert. What's your next rapid fire?
So my next rapid fire is Earth to Echo. And for me to describe this movie, I need simply say, have you seen E.T.? Because
Yeah.
this is pretty much
No,
just
Jordan.
E.T.
Describe to me. No, okay. But doesn't it involve? Okay. I'm just gonna ask one question: yes or no. Doesn't it involve time travel? I recall it involving time travel. Am I thinking of something else?
I think you're thinking of something else because I
Wait,
don't. I mean, to be fair,
I might be
to be
thinking of.
fair, to be fair, this was a rapid fire, so I was double tasking as I watched this one, but I don't remember there being time travel.
I I might be thinking about the last Memsy. It could be. I could be thinking about the last Memsy.
I just know that in this one, a little robot like crash lands. The kids find the crash robot or the crashed robot, um, and then and it echoes what they say, and then the entire point is they're trying to help it get back home.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's
that sure sounds like
it's
ET.
pretty it's pretty much just metal ET.
That does
But
sound an awful lot
maybe
like
maybe
ET.
maybe because I wasn't paying enough attention, maybe there was time. You know what? Fuck it. Let's look it up.
No, I'm pretty sure. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm almost entirely convinced I'm thinking about the last Memsy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you are, but you know,
But do you have anything else to say, Jordan? And I will pose my.
it's it's cute and it's fun and it's inoffensive
Okay.
and it came out in 2014.
So Jordan, when it comes to the paranormal activity movie, I have one thing to say about the first movie, a little bit of detail, and then it basically becomes the weird, convoluted lore of the paranormal activity movies. And it's going to be a lot of me explaining. So, I can either explain all of the backstory all at once in one big chunk, or we can go movie by movie and I can reveal the story bit by bit in the same way I had to, in the slow and prolonged, agonizingly long way I had to over the course of the rest of this episode. I'm going to recommend the second
I
one because it's going to be more fun.
I mean, I was gonna say if we break it up, I have two more rapid fire like things I could interject to kind of
Here's what I will say, Jordan. If this is
that.
what is what
That being said, if we do it all at once, it'll make it easier for you to put it on YouTube as a
I
paranormal
mean,
activity bit.
not any more or less. So here's what I will say. Here's what I will
What
say.
what do you think as if you were an audience member watching this? What do you think is going to make it
Oh,
more
it's gonna be way
palatable?
more fun if I prolong it.
All right, then we'll do
Um,
that.
but in terms of adding, I have 7 paranormal activity movies, and post the first one, a lot of them are just gonna be massive lore dumps. And I will do it as succinctly as I possibly can.
So I'll just take my headphones off and I'll go for a walk and I'll
Uh
come
huh.
back in like
No,
an
no.
hour.
I had to watch it. So you now have to listen to it. This is your
All right,
punishment.
I'm just gonna.
So
Uh,
this is the
all
option,
right.
Dart. This the
I
no.
I'm listening. I'm just gonna rest my head back, close my eyes, and if you hear snoring, just know that it's just part of the act.
No. Quite okay. No.
I'm
Okay.
just going with the bit.
Joking aside, it it's incredible. Okay, it's incredible. It's no. You're doing that. You're gonna yeah. Honestly, it's great. You're gonna be like, say what? You maybe so you've seen the first one, right?
I think I've seen like the first three.
The first three. Okay, you've seen the first three. Okay, good.
I'm questioning that, but I
How
think
much of
I
them
have.
how much of them do you remember?
Not much. I remember there's a
Okay.
kid. There's a red door.
So
There's the adult who is in Watchmen. He gets possessed. There's the lady, and then the future movie is about her, the blonde lady who is the ghost hunter.
no, you're thinking of you're thinking of that's not paranormal activity. That's oh fudge me. That's Insidious you're thinking of. You're describing Insidious.
Oh, oh, oh. Which one is paranormal? Oh, that's the one where there's the lady on the bed and she gets taken like she gets dragged to the. None of it. I remember none of them.
That's the one where it's they set up the camera in the bedroom and it's the two guys and he gets the camera and it's
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember just a scene where it's the lady getting dragged out of bed. That's
Yeah.
all I remember of those
Yeah, it
movies.
ends with her like doing a big demon face
I
into the camera.
sure I don't
Yeah.
even remember that.
That was one of those movies.
Turns out all this time, all these years, I have thought that Insidious was the movie that you were talking about.
That's funny. Um, no, yeah. I know you. I don't know if you saw any of
I
them past
know
the
I've
first
seen
one.
the
I
first
very much
one.
think you know the fight because that was a big fad one because it was really scary. So everyone went to saw it's like see it when it was in the theaters, and it's like you have to go watch it. It's super scary, and it's like okay, we'll jump 2 feet into the first one. The first one's really good. The thesis of my piece on this, and probably what is inevitably going to be the title of this video when I cut it, is the only good one is the first one.
Diminishing returns. That's
I
what it should be. The only first one is the or only good one is the first one, colon diminishing
and
returns.
that'll probably just be in the description. But yes, also that because yeah, the only good one is the first one. And the first one, it's funny because I've seen so many people who have been like the first one doesn't hold up. They're wrong. The first one holds up. The first one is good, and it's kind of the same thing about the same thing with the Blair Witch Project. And that's kind of why I watched the Blair because I wanted to compare it. Where it does a lot with a little, where it plays on just such very basic fears of like, yeah, man, we've all like been trying to sleep at night when it's absolute silence and you hear a bang and you like shoot up in bed like what the fuck is that Like we've all had that
Yeah.
experience. Every human being has had that experience. So yeah, it was like, yeah, man, that movie was legitimately unsettling. Um, and very much so when that movie is like is like not doing anything. It's amazing. Like when it's like just like simple things like yeah, it's just he's opening and closing the door, and what why is it doing that? Like it's so simple, and when you don't know what it is, what why is this happening? What is this thing? It's like legitimately creepy. Um, and what a lot of what make that movie makes that movie feel organic is like it's another one of those ones like Blair Witch where they just kind of gave them scenarios and let them improv.
React.
Yeah, and let them react, let them come up with their own kind of stuff. So there's a moment in there that I love where Katie, the actress who plays Katie, that's her actual name, um, just sort of improvs her backstory, and it's just like just you could just kind of tell you could at least I can because I do improv. You could see her just kind of making it up on the spot, and it's funny because then 2 movies later, movie three, it's a prequel, and they're trying to like replicate details of this thing that this person just like it wasn't really thought out all that much. She just kind of came up with it on the fly, and I love stuff like that in like universes. And the movie's
Yeah.
incredible because they did like it was such a huge successful movie. Like I think it was like $66 million it made on a budget of $7,500.
Wow.
225,000 marketing budget.
That's pretty damn good.
Right, right. I all of these movies crush it in the box office. But yeah, it's just it's
Because just because they were both simple and creepy. Like they
yeah.
know like they very much understood human fear and were like, you don't need much to freak a person out.
Well, okay, no. See, here's the thing. The thing with a thread and a thing throughout this movie, a through line, these movies is they're scary. It's scary in the first one because you don't know what it is, and the more you reveal what it is, the less scary it becomes. So it's like, okay, yeah, like it's a ghost. Okay, yeah, ghosts do the weird opening and closing door shit. And then the movie's like, no, it's not a ghost. It's a demon. Oh, okay, it's a demon. Why is it doing the opening and closing the door? Okay, whatever it's doing, it's a demon. And it's like it possesses Katie at the end, and Katie kills Mika, and she walks off, and that's how the first one ends. Okay, why did that happen? That's weird. What's your next movie, Jordan?
Oh, I thought you were doing all of them.
Oh no, we're gonna do them one at a time, baby.
Okay. My next one is a movie called Into the Storm,
Okay,
which I had not watched this before. I kind of had to cheat on a couple of my rapid fires because it turns out there wasn't I hadn't seen that many.
fair enough,
Um
fair enough. No, fair enough. Also, like
um
the parameters, I sort of realized, like with the paranormal activity. Again, spoiler alert. By the last one, the the, the line of what is found footage is real blurry. So, like, you know,
Yeah, there's scenes in this one in Into the Storm where it's so Into the Storm. Cold Notes version is basically there's what two kind of storylines that we're cutting between in the beginning part. One is this kid who's trying to make like this graduation video, or something to that effect, and the other is a team of people that are hurricane tornado chasers
right,
that film tornadoes, and like
right,
they have this special armor vehicle or whatever
right,
that lets them do that. And so there's a scene at a certain point where it's just showing like the gigantic, unrealistic tornado. At least I think it's unrealistic. I'm not a
right,
meteorologist. I don't know. Anyway, and the scene that they have with that, it's not their camera that's capturing it. It's
right,
just a wide open shot of the environment. Like
right.
that's not
You're like, wait. So did how did someone get this footage? You're like, did no
like
one
that's not
found this footage?
no, that's
Yeah,
not the rest of it in that movie. Sure, okay, that makes sense and it's
yeah,
explained and it's yeah, but no, like there's a few shots where it's like no, like
yeah,
no,
yeah. Exactly.
no.
Um,
Um, Overall though, it's I mean it's fine. It's kind of boring, but
um. Uh, train of
Do you
thought.
have
Oh
any
yeah, yeah,
questions
yeah.
for me?
I think about paranormal activity. Just real quick, I forgot to mention. Um, the question of does it present itself as being real? Absolutely, Paranormal Activity did. I was there. This was a movie that came out when I worked at the movie theater. I remember it. It very much was marketed as being real. Like all the trailers were just reaction shots of people at the movie theater. Like, and what's crazy is the movie doesn't end with any credits. The movie just it pretends it's like police footage. Like it just stops. And what's funny
Interesting.
is the Blair Witch Project did the same thing in the marketing. It tried to present itself as being real, but when you go to the movie, it has ending credits. It has a director, it has editors, like it has credits for people who made this movie. Paranormal
Yeah.
Activity, the first one, doesn't do that, and it's really funny because a lot of these movies, you can tell that that it just kind of seems like they were filmed at somebody's house over the course. Well, I know the first one was filmed over the course of 7 days, but it's like it's just kind of funny. Yeah, it just kind of seems like these were just kind of filmed at people's houses. And it's just kind of funny that way. Anyway, sorry. Back to yours. I thought about that while you were talking about. Oh, I wanted to mention that because I thought it was funny. Um, yeah,
Into the Storm.
Into the Storm. So
Do you have any questions for me about it?
not really.
It's fine.
It's
It's
fine.
okay.
It's okay. It's not
So
egregious.
what's tell me about Paranormal Activity 2.
So Paranormal Activity 2. So okay. So from this moment on, a consistent and continuing problem that these movies have is the camera footage is too good. So these movies kind of suffer from sequelitis, where an executive came in and said, "Do the same thing but bigger." So a reason why the first one is so good and so creepy is hold on, is it's one camera. It's one camera,
Yeah.
and it's there's sections in the movie where it's just one static position, and it's a time lapse of over the course of the night. Well, the second movie is like, well, we're the second movie, so you need more cameras. So now there's like 3 or 4 cameras, and it swaps between all of them. And there's supposed to be security cameras because the inciting incident is someone has broken into the house. But like
Mm.
the footage on the cameras is too good for security footage. Also, their security cameras, they wouldn't have microphones unless you paid for that, but why would you? Like if it's for security, you wouldn't have to do that unless you know that you need to hear stuff later in the movie, which why would you? When all the characters are supposed to be skeptical of the fact that there are ghosts. Like it's very odd.
Right.
It's very odd. It's very much a problem in the next movie, which we'll get to. But just it's just the idea of like, yeah, this footage is too good. Anyway, so um, this movie is now about Katie's sister Christy, who has recently given birth to her son Hunter, and she has her husband. Now, a thing early on in this movie I forgot to mention is the boyfriends of the characters are complete morons.
Assholes.
Yeah, just complete morons who just antagonize the fucking thing, and then the fucking thing kills them. It happens in both movies. It's just like, man, if you just like listen and like listen to the wife, you could have avoided like the whole thing. Um,
I mean, you've just described most marriages,
yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Um,
if you had just listened to your wife, things probably would have turned out better.
probably no, because no, later on, they subvert it because the wife becomes the one who's a moron and won't listen. And then the guys get to
Well,
become
I
smart for a
mean,
few movies.
that obviously can't. You're saying could that footage have been found? No, because that clearly doesn't take place in reality.
um, so this one, yeah, Katie's sister Christy. This movie's about her family. And it takes place a few
Yes.
months before the first movie, and Christy has recently given birth to her son Hunter. And yeah, Ghost shows up, starts doing ghosty stuff. But because you know what it is, it's once again it's less scary because you're like, well, I like yeah, like, at least as an audience member, I'm not as scared because it's like these movies are more about fear of the unknown. Well, I know it's a demon, and the movie's never clear about like is it a humanoid demon? Is it like a beast demon? Like they're never really clear about what kind of, not really, what kind of demon exactly it is. Like,
It's the
um,
demonic kind.
so like yeah, so God, is this the one where? Yeah, yeah. So the ghost starts haunting Christy. You know, doing all the stuff that it does in Paranormal Activity, knocking over furniture, dropping like pots and pans, all that shit. Like there's weird shit. One of the cameras is the
Being a nuisance, and
yeah,
is the
generally
point.
being a nuisance. Yeah, one of the bits is one of the cameras takes footage of the pool and the pool cleaner, and there's a moment in the movie where you see the pool cleaner just like out of nowhere like leave the pool, like just climb out of the pool and like walk off, and it's not supposed to do that, obviously. um and there's just a lot of moments where it's like the premise of this movie is that they're filming everything and they're watching back the footage later, and like clearly on the footage, like there's a moment. Is it in this one where you see this one? I can't. No, I don't think it's in this one. But there's several moments where you see like that's definitely a ghost, or like you see Christy on the camera get like dragged down the stairs and into the basement by an invisible force, and it was like, yeah, that didn't just happen. You clearly got that on camera, and then the characters are still fucking skeptical. It's like, are you not watching back all of your footage? Like, what is happening? Um, but this is the one where you find out that there's a cult. There's a cult of witches who every time they hit a certain age, like a childbearing age, if they give birth to a son, they give it to this demon. For whatever reason, for some unexplained reason, they give they give this child to this demon.
A sacrifice. It's a
Yeah,
sacrifice.
it's said for money and power. It's like just for vague money and power. It's some sort of deal where he gets the firstborn and they get money and power. That's it. It's not explained any further than that. And at the end of the
I
movie,
mean, what further explanation do you need? You get money and power for a firstborn. It's pretty cut and dry.
I suppose, and so and so, at the end
You
of
could,
that movie,
you could always make another one. Come on.
at the end of that movie, the ghost shit's getting real bad. And so the dad finds out that he could do a ritual and he could pass the thing from family to family. So he casts the ritual and he passed it on to Katie. Um, thus,
So the first one can happen.
yeah, thus inciting the first one. And it flashes forward to several months later. They're at night, and Katie, possessed post end of the first movie, shows up and kills them both. It's actually pretty brutal. She shows up and just snaps the husband's neck, and like blasts the mom at the camera, and then takes Hunter and then disappears. Thus ending Paranormal Activity 2.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Jordan, it's only begun. It's only begun, Jordan. Just you wait till Paranormal Activity 3. That's where it starts to get fun and weird. What's your next
That's
movie,
when
Jordan?
the feces hit the proverbial fan.
Yeah, Jordan, we're in the stuff I've seen. We're in the stuff I've seen. I've seen this stuff.
My last rapid fire is called End of Watch. It's a
I
Jake Gyllenhaal movie.
I've heard of this movie. How is it found footage?
Um, he's carrying around a camera,
It's from his perspective.
and it's from his
Like
camera's
it basically is
perspective.
like body cam, basically like body cam
Not a
footage.
body camera, his personal camera. He's documenting everything because he thinks he's a hotshot cop, and he in fact gets yelled at it by his superior officer like 2 times
Oh
over the
yeah.
course of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Sorry. That's a funny trope. I forgot to mention. I meant to mention earlier. The trope of needing to justify why the character has a camera. You have to have at least one character be like, "What's with the camera?" Like you,
yeah, yeah.
at least one character has to be like, "What's with the camera, man?" And you have
Um,
and the fun. I have to go so real quick to go back to Paranormal Activity 1. That movie's really funny because he has a really expensive professional camera, and you're just like, why would he have this camera? It's absurd. This movie is it's like a $10,000 camera basically that only a professional filmmaker would have. And then you read about it, it's like, oh yeah, because the actor who plays him is a professional cameraman, so he knows how to use this kind of camera. And it's just one of those like, yeah, you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, but it's still just really funny how it's like, yeah, you have to really justify why the footage looks good.
Um, but yeah, in this movie, I mean, some of it does come from his partner's body cam,
Oh, okay.
and stuff, but um, uh, it it's a pretty good movie. Basically the point of it is that Jake Gyllenhaal and his partner, the dude from Ant-Man, um,
Which dude from Ant-Man?
uh, the one who
Paul
does
Rudd?
the
Ant-Man?
no, no, the one who does all the so da 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 such and such da 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 da
Oh,
da 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 da.
Michael Pena. Michael Pena.
I'm pretty sure it's him
Yeah, Michael
anyway.
Pena.
Um, um, they're like hot shot cops, but like they're beat cops.
Oh,
But
hot
like
shot beat
Jake Joe
cops.
Jake Gyllenhaal, and like they like so like they'll get themselves into situations where like they have to pull their gun, or like they're going up against gangsters, and like the dude from Ant-Man, like he turns off their camera and stuff, and like gets into a fist fight with one of the gangsters. And so at a certain point, Jake Gyllenhaal and the partner basically interfere with cartel business.
Right.
Um, and you can imagine where that goes.
But I see a lot of the movies. It's funny because a lot of these movies in the third act, um, really have to work hard to be like, why do they have a camera? So for that one, it would be like, oh, if they're dirty cops, there'd have to be so many points where characters are like,
It's
we're
not.
criminals, we don't want to be filmed, especially if it's
It's
like a
not that they're
camcorder
dirty.
situation.
It's not that they're dirty cops. It's they're cops with delusions of grandeur.
Oh, fair.
So like it's supposed to be like the idea is they're like that young cop who like wants to be like the action hero.
Gotcha.
So
Oh,
they put themselves into dangerous situations so they can live out that like illusions of grandeur kind of thing
okay.
is the point.
Another question I realized I meant to ask. For your movies, how many of them was it utterly visually incomprehensible when people ran?
Oh, most of them.
So okay, so it's so funny. Um, the one the afflicted one, that one that with the chest camera, because it's got the chest camera, that doesn't happen. It's so clean. All of the first person action is like just like super clean looking.
That's funny.
So it's like it's some of the
The thing that
cleanest
the
first
thing
person like running I've ever. It's like, oh my god, I can see everything that's happening. This is amazing.
the thing that makes me laugh in these movies is that one obligatory shot that you always get of the person that's holding the camera in the mirror, and you see them like filming themselves in the
Yeah,
mirror holding the camera.
yeah.
Like every one of these has at least
Uh,
one shot that's like
Absolutely.
that
It's so funny because sometimes you're like, yeah, that's not the camera
that you're using.
that this is being shot on, because there's for reasons we're gonna get into with the next one. There's no way. There's no
Yeah, and one
way. There's
and one of
no
mine.
way. Yeah. So was that? So yeah. So was that you? That was you, right?
That was me. That was end of watch.
Was that the end of watch?
That's my end of watch. There's really not much more to
So
say. It's
Jordan,
a good movie. I actually would, if you like Jake Gyllenhaal, I would.
I
It is
do
a good one
enjoy
to go
I
check
do
out.
enjoy the occasional Jake Gyllenhaal.
That's also
Gyllenhaal.
my last rapid fire.
All right. Um, I mean, all my sense of what is rapid fire and what is full one is completely lost because everyone deserves. So Jordan, Paranormal Activity 3. It partially takes place before the start of the second one. So I guess it's part prequel. It's mostly prequel. So it begins with um beginning of before Paranormal Activity 2, they find a case of cassette tapes, and it is from Christy and Katie's childhood. So this movie is now a prequel. Takes place in 1980s, and in this one, young Katie has a imaginary friend named Toby. Toby
Fucking Toby.
Toby behaves an awful lot like the ghost from the first two Paranormal Activity movies. Behaves an awful lot like it. Very similar.
You mean the demon?
The demon, yes. and it very much full bore creepy kid, talks to it, whole 9 yards. Um, and paranormal activity shit has started to happen, and Christy's mom has recently begun dating this guy who is a wedding photographer, wedding videographer. So he films all the time. So, and this is important. He's got a big ass 1980s
He's,
video camera.
he's Oh, okay. Okay.
Like that big.
I was gonna say, it's not nice to comment on a person's appearance. Uh,
No. He's got like a big ass 1980s, like it's on the shoulder viewfinder. Like when you think of 1980s video camera, like heavy,
mm,
like video camera. That they
right.
want you to think that he's carrying around. And they do
But
that.
he's not.
Yeah, they do the shot where they show him and they make you think that he's filming it with you. You're like he's not. There's no way, for reasons that we'll get into. Um, but yeah, so throughout the movie, um, all sorts of stuff are happening. People are getting hurt. The mom gets possessed at one point. Um, the mom is now with this boyfriend who's a videographer, whatever. Paranormal activity shit is happening. The Christie's talking to the ghost or whatever. And the wife doesn't believe any of it, even though at one point there's a scene where like there's like a sheet that looks like like a kid wearing a sheet, like, ooh, I'm a scary ghost, and you think it's like Katie, one of the little girls, and it cuts to one of the other cameras, and Katie's still in bed, and it's just the sheet's just standing there, and all of a sudden the sheet drops. Like, oh shit, the ghost! It was a ghost standing there, and it was like, yeah, you got this on camera. That's clearly a ghost. Or like, there's a lot of scenes where like a door will be open and like a person will like get dragged into a thing by like an invisible force, and a door will slam, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty, like, even like the most hardened skeptic would be like, yeah, that's something. Like I'm not saying it's definitely
I
something.
mean, no,
It's definitely not nothing.
the hardest skeptic would be like, no, she's getting pulled by a wire.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, but like, again,
I'm just saying, the hardest skeptic.
The 1980s, it would look very believable. But anyway, so the lore at this point, Jordan, is it turns out that there's actually an evil coven of witches, who,
Yeah, you already said that.
right, they require the firstborn. So they
Yep.
also by the end of the movie want to perform some sort of ritual where one of the daughters will get married to Toby the ghost from Paranormal Activity. And
The demon.
The demon, and it possesses them. So at the end of the movie, they decide enough is enough ghost shit, and they go to the grandma's house. And it turns out the grandma is part of this evil cult of witches, who, again, reasons unknown.
So I might be losing the thread here. Is it a ghost or is it a demon? You keep saying ghost.
It is a demon, but it does ghost shit, like moving furniture around and whatnot.
I mean, that's also demon shit.
All right, it's demon shit then. It is a demon, yes.
Okay.
And so then at the end of
demons like to torture humans. So yeah, moving shit like that, it falls under the same umbrella.
All right, I suppose, because I do have a question about the moving shit, but it requires me to get into more detail about the exact nature of the demon. So that movie ends with the two girls are getting like hassled by the ghost stuff, or the demon stuff is getting worse and worse and worse. They go to the grandma. It turns out grandma, part of the witch cult. The demon kills the mom, and then kills the boyfriend, and the girl get married to it, and then become attached to it for life. But they don't remember this as an adult for reasons that are never fully explained why. Because
this sounds really dumb.
In the first movie, Katie is completely unaware of what this is, but yet in this one seems to completely know what it is. It's very confusing. And also, the demon really can only seem to, because when you get right down to it, what does it really do? It moves around furniture and opens and closes doors.
Mildly inconveniences people.
Right. So at the end of that movie, it full on like pretzels a guy. So okay, so it's strong enough to like pretzel a guy, and you can't see it coming. So you're like, okay, um, yeah, you can't see it coming. Like what? Yeah. Um,
So, like, is it attached to the house? Is it like the longer you're in the house, the more power it gets over
it
you?
seems to be indicated that it's attached to the family, not the house.
So, like, it can't pretzel you until you marry into the family.
No, it just seemed to be able to have the enough strength to like drag you around and pull you and crush you in half.
I'm just saying, from the descriptions you're giving me, its powers seem undefined.
Right, that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem.
Okay.
And again, it will become more undefined as we go on. And so yes,
I shouldn't, but see, shouldn't it become less ill-defined as we go
kind of.
on?
And
Should
that's
we
the
not
thing.
gain as more of these movies are pumped out? Should we, the audience, not the people in universe, but the audience, not receive more information, not less? Is it not at that point just going the Five Nights at Freddy's route of convoluting its story more and more as time goes on and pissing Jordan off?
Yes, and it explains it, but it's the kind of explanation that makes you it both simultaneously makes it no longer scary because you know exactly what it is, and you're like, wait, then why is it again? We're gonna get there because it relies on me giving away. Oh no, there goes my headphones. Hopefully you can still hear me. It relies on me giving away.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Now I can. It relies on me giving away
Okay.
exactly what the paranormal activity thing is, which I will. I will. Trust me.
I mean,
There
you
is,
already did. It's a demon.
yeah, but there's specificity to it. Trust me. Anyway,
I'm Justin. You're already exhausting me. How many more paranormal activities do we have?
four more. Four more.
Four more?
Jordan, there's
I have to
seven.
sit here and listen you talk about 4 movies?
Jordan, there's seven of them in total.
Why?
Jordan.
Why are you doing this to me?
Because I had to watch them, Jordan. Now you have to hear
You
about them.
didn't have to. You didn't have to watch them all. You chose to watch them all. I'm angry at you. I've talked about 5 movies, and how many total are there? 9?
Yeah, seven total, Jordan. We're halfway through.
7?
Seven.
7, and then 4 halves, 2 halves, 2 halves, and 2 have nots.
That's 7 including.
You're gonna.
That's including have nots.
Okay, because I haven't even done my halves and halves nots
No,
yet.
that's all encompassing. It's all encompassing.
Oh.
Yeah, no. I hadn't seen the last 2, and Jordan, we're gonna get there. Don't you worry. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get to the ones I hadn't seen. Anyway, number 3. To finish number 3.
Okay, I'm just gonna lean my head back here.
I'm just trying to think of all the bullet points. Demon.
Right, it just seems like it.
Right. So,
it kind of just feels like it's the same story over and over again.
So the thing about this is as these movies go on, you learn a little bit more about this, right? And it becomes progressively less and less scary because once you know what it is, you're like, well, yeah. For me as an audience member, a demon is not really scary. It's just kind of like a ghost with extra packaging. Like, it's not really that scary now that I know what it is.
What you're describing doesn't really sound like a demon. It sounds like a poltergeist.
Right, exactly. And like a lot of these movies are like, what is this? And it's like by movie 3, I know what this is. So like I don't need a movie of you trying to figure out what it is. I need you to know why it is at this point. Or certainly if that's what this is going to be about, it sort of feels like maybe you should start to explain why, which they never do. They never really give any of the things in this any sort of motivation. But yeah. And the final point is that go back to the camera. 1980s camera, big ass heavy camera. There's scenes where he's like full bore sprinting, and he's getting a clear shot, and the footage is crisp clear. and it's a movie that takes place in 1988. And I see my parents' wedding video, and it does not look that good.
I mean, have you ever considered that maybe they just have a better camera?
No, because it's supposed to be like a home camera. So no,
Have you have you
if
have
anything,
you
the
ever
camera
considered
at my parents' wedding was a professional video camera. So no, if anything, no, it should look
have you
worse.
have you ever considered that you're overthinking it and you should move on to the next movie?
No, because a big thing for me with Blair Witch Project that I really liked is that movie did look like a movie that was shot on a digital camera, handy cam that I would have had in 1990, and it was a thing that made that movie impressive. It pulled me out of the movie, out of the universe when I was like, no, this doesn't look. To go back to the original question of, is this a found footage movie? It doesn't feel like it. It just feels like it's using the found footage aesthetic. Because no, it doesn't feel like I found a tape from the 1980s, 1988. It feels like I'm looking at a movie that was made in 2012 or 2013, whenever that movie came out. And it's like,
I
yeah,
mean, you are.
it's just, yeah, but it feels like that, and then it shouldn't if it's supposed to be taking place, if it's supposed to be footage I found in the 1980s.
I
That's it.
understand. I understand. But the important thing
That's it.
is
That's it.
that
That's it.
you
That's
be
it.
you be crazy.
That's it. That's all. That's it.
No more paranormal activity.
No, that's the end of the third one. Jordan, we still got number 4.
Oh,
But don't worry, Jordan. It becomes easier at this point. At this point, it just becomes updates. Don't worry. There's less. It becomes less dense. Don't you even worry about it.
okay. So what are we doing now?
You are doing your next one.
I already did all my rapid fires.
Yeah. What's your next one? Whatever. Your half scene. Moving to the half scenes. The
My
for
first half.
my have scenes and my have not scenes are all paranormal activity.
Yeah, your entire thing is screwing up the rhythm and it's throwing me off.
No, it's all of my rapid fire and all of my it was just all paranormal activity.
That sounds like torture. That sounds like you're a masochist.
Um.
Um, so
Yeah.
my first have seen is a movie called Chronicle.
Ah, yes. That was fun.
Justin, I know you've seen Chronicle, but for the people who haven't, it's basically a found footage film where the people get superpowers and one of them is a school shooter.
It's a found footage school shooter movie, and it's honestly quite good. Fun fact about that movie
But they have superpowers.
is that movie is the reason why Fan Four Stick exists.
Oh no, that's not fair to pin that on that.
It is because that Fan Four Stick was unbelievably successful, like incredibly
And Van
successful.
Forstick Van Forstick was not unbelievably successful.
No. Chronicle was unbelievably successful.
You said because Van Forstick
No,
was.
because Chronicle was unbelievably successful. They gave Josh Trank Fantastic Four. That's why not Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan, who is in Chronicle, is also in Fantastic Four.
Oh, that was their first mistake. They should have never done that.
But Josh Trank got
That
that
movie
movie off the back of
that
this, and he also
this
got
movie
Star
this
Trek off the
movie
back,
is
or Star Wars, I mean, off the
this
back of
movie
this.
is very good. That movie is very bad.
I know, but they're both made by the same guy.
Yeah, no. Clearly he had one success.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. One hit wonder.
Um,
But yeah, no, this movie's
yeah,
good. It's a shame that he's the guy who made that movie. It's a shame. It's a shame because the movie's good.
this movie
Also,
is very
Max
good.
Landis also sucks.
Uh, who?
Oh, the guy who wrote it.
Oh, okay. I don't know who that is.
Just need to know that he
Um,
sucks.
that's fair. This movie's good. You feel really bad for the kid who ultimately snaps and goes crazy.
Yeah.
Um, he's in a shitty situation, and you have the power of the Lord behind you.
It's sorry guys until I can figure out a way to blot out light that won't crack me in the head every 5 minutes.
Um,
Today's not
but
been my day. That's all I'm gonna say.
um, of the two of my two, I'm gonna preemptively say this, and I'll go more into it with my other one. But of the two have scenes that I have this week, I like the second one more.
Interesting. Interesting. I think I think because I found Chronicle to be I like Chronicle more. I think only because like a thing with found footage movie for me is there's a line of believability where I just have a hard and I think with the next one you're going to talk about, that one was harder for it was harder for me because it's time travel. Time travel needs to justify it way harder in the narrative for me. I have way more like, whereas with superhero stuff, it's like yeah, I don't know. I just way more believe that yeah, a couple teenagers would find a meteorite that gives them superpowers. I think I believe that more than kid makes time travel. I don't know. I don't know why. But not to say I don't like it. I just
Sure, but I like the second one more because it's more lighthearted and fun. This one
also
gets
fair.
dark and
It does
is
get dark.
upsetting.
It does get dark. It does get dark. I will agree with that. I do
Like
acknowledge your points.
when their friend dies,
Yeah.
I'm like that's upsetting. That's
No,
genuinely
Michael
made
B.
me
Jordan.
sad.
No.
Like it's upsetting. He's
Yeah.
just trying to help his friend. He's trying to reach out to the friend that would be school shooter,
Right.
and get essentially gets a super powered shotgun gun shot to the face.
Right. I
Like
mean, I will say
he gets hit by an electric thunderbolt, but like that's the metaphor.
right. I will say that yeah. In terms of it being a found footage movie, it does get a little like oh they're telekinetic, so the camera becomes free floating, so they're not constrained to the constraints of the found footage formula. The
It
camera
kind of
can
just
just do
stops
whatever
being a
they need it
found
to.
footage.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
a
it kind of
movie.
just stops being a found footage.
Right, 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 right.
Whereas I like the justification for why they always have the camera around in my other pick, where they're like, we need in order to keep track of like any changes or anything that's happened, we need to just always have the camera going,
Yeah.
so we have documented evidence of everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of them where yeah, every one of these movies has to concoct a justification for having the camera around because yeah, at a point it's like yeah, you know what? I probably would be like, dude, why are you filming me? Please stop. Please get the camera out of my face.
Um,
Like even the most even the most reasonable person would be like, dude, stop, just for like 5 minutes with the. Like, you wouldn't be like, yeah, you're right. It would be logical to document this paranormal activity, this paranormal event. Like it would be very silly for us to not document this active paranormal event in front of us. Like, you're not
um,
thinking about that rationally in the moment.
but that's Chronicle. It's fine.
That movie is fun. I enjoy that movie. So, John, Paranormal Activity 4 stars. You know the girl. She was girl Ant Man.
Yeah.
She's in it for some reason.
Okay.
And so now this one is, um, it begins with you see Hunter, the boy. Oh yeah, so yeah, I think I mentioned in the second one, Katie killed Hunter's parents and took Hunter, her nephew,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Okay.
The kid who would be king.
The kid who would be king, yeah, who is going to be possessed by the demon, maybe it's unclear, but the demon needs him for unspecified reasons, um,
Blood sacrifice, you say, eh?
or something, and so now there's this suburban family, and this movie is now 2000 or 2014, so there now are laptops. So a huge chunks of this movie take place on webcams, where it's like it's the character is carrying a laptop, but it's like the camera is way too good to be a laptop camera, so it's clearly just a wide angle lens that they've got on their face. And it's just really distracting because once again the camera footage looks too good and it pulls me right out of the friggin' movie. Um, so now this one, mysteriously, a woman who lives across the street from uh, this family, his mom gets real sick all of a sudden and has to go to the hospital. And so they volunteer to take in this kid. And Jordan, this kid is really fucking creepy. He's real creepy. He's really like weird, antisocial, whatever. And he keeps talking to this unseen force who's not there. You know, this mysterious force who's not there that may or may not be Toby. But it acts and behaves very similarly to Toby.
Right.
And the thing is, once these kids start talking to Toby, they stop talking to the adults. Like they won't answer any questions or acknowledge the adults or whatever, but they'll only talk to Toby or whatever. Um,
I used to have an imaginary friend too,
yeah,
but
so
it was when I was like 7.
yeah, but your imaginary friend wasn't real and violent.
I mean, he might have been.
And so Jordan,
He
um,
only didn't attack you, Justin, because I told him not to.
this family, they have a young son who, spoiler alert, turns out he's adopted. crazy, just like this kid from across the street. And this family son, he starts talking to Toby, and then Jordan, big twist. Turns out you think the whole movie because this kid. Oh, you find out that this kid's mom is Katie from this first Paranormal Activity movie, and so this whole movie you're like, oh, the kid is obviously Hunter, but then it turns out, Jordan, big twist, that actually that Hunter is the kid from the regular family, and that Katie wanted him to be adopted into a regular family so he could be part of a regular family until he was ready. But now he's sick, so he's ready. So Katie has come for him to prepare him to do something. It's not really made clear, but she needs him to do something. And so then does Katie kill the whole family? Yes, I believe Katie kills the whole family. And then takes the kid.
Not Katie. Demon possessed Katie.
Yeah, well, it's unclear because at this point, Jordan, flashbacks have revealed that she has been aware of the thing ever since she was a kid. So it's unclear as if she is aware that she is active in her own agency or if she is controlled. Like there's times where she's normal and then there's times where she's not normal. It's not clear if she's self-aware or not. It's really confusing. The rules are never explained. Never explained.
Understand.
And turns out that the kid is Hunter, and so yeah, she takes Hunter. Family's dead, and that's the end of the fourth one. That's it. That's all. That's all the updates.
Okay.
Yeah, they still
My
need Hunter. It's not really clear why. It's implied that the demon needs Hunter. And then like, oh yeah, I think this is the point where they're like for power and money. But then it's also implied that the demon needs Hunter so that he can possess Hunter so that he can have a body. But it's unclear as if
But he already has a body. He has Katie.
right. No, but again, it's implied that no, he just uses Katie, but he is a spirit that has its own form that you can't see. That is a beast because it bites people, but also is humanoid because it makes deals with people because they have promised it the firstborn son.
Okay, you're making me angry. This is making me angry. I hate this.
This is
It should feel it as a film series should feel bad about itself.
this is the fourth one. I realized that I skipped the spinoff. We'll do the spinoff next. Jordan, what's your next movie?
Do we have to? Um,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's gonna be my second half scene. I meant to do the spinoff first. That's okay. Mistakes were made, Jordan.
my
Jordan,
second half scene
There's only three more.
only. My second half scene is Project Almanac. It's a
I
time
also like
travel
that
movie.
movie. It's a time travel movie. Rife with
Um,
paradoxes, Jordan. Rife with paradoxes.
and and to be fair, in that movie, they don't create time travel. They find the blueprints for time travel with the key component that they need to make it function that his dad already created,
All right, that's
which he
fair.
got from which I think it's implied that he got it from the government.
That's fair. That's fair. That's totally fair.
Because yeah, there's very specifically a part in the movie where one of the characters is like, guys, like we just created time travel. Like we need to like what are we gonna do with this? And the main character dude is like, we didn't really create it. We sort of just kind of put it together using the blueprints my dad left us. So, let's not go too crazy.
Doesn't it imply that like the dad like I'm my own grandpa himself out of existence?
No.
No, am I misremembering this movie? Isn't it like the dad like the
It
dad
sort of
goes back in
implies
time
that
and
he
like
is.
kills himself or something?
No, it implies that his dad died in a car crash.
Right. Right.
No, the main kid goes back in time and basically tries to erase himself from existence, this is to preempt your question of do I believe that it could be found footage? Yes, it is found by himself or by his sister, technically.
That's fair. That's
Um,
fair.
because at the end he goes back like to 10 years ago basically, and destroys all the stuff, including the like the parts and stuff that they used to build the time machine in the first place, to stop it all from ever happening. But I guess objects that go back in time don't get destroyed, because then at the end of the movie we basically get a redo of a scene earlier in the movie where he's up in the attic and they first discover the camera, which kind of leads it all to happening. Except now there's two cameras there, which includes the camera that they've been carrying around, which recorded all of the events of the movies. So now they it's sort of implied at the end of the movie that they have all the ingredients to just make another time machine.
All right. All right. I do remember.
So
I remember this movie being
literally,
fun.
literally, like they find it is found footage. They find their own footage.
All right. All right. All right. That's fair. That's fair. All right. All
Um,
right. All right. I
but
believe
no,
it.
it's a really fun movie. I really like it. I've watched it a few times.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Um,
fun.
it's cute. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's fairly safe, fairly tame,
It's from that
and it has
era of
time travel.
it's from that era of found footage movie where they're still making crap tons of money because they're so easy and cheap to make, but people are bored of the horror ones. So there's just like that run of like of like yeah of like non horror found footage movies that are just fun, like these ones, like
Yeah,
Chronicle, like yeah, where you're like yeah, it's just they're more, I enjoy them more than the horror ones because they're creative.
yeah, yeah. It's not just doesn't just evolve to kind of feeling the samey.
Right.
Um, and this one had a budget of 12 million and had a box office of 33.2 million.
That's funny. So okay, Jordan, I realized I should have done the spinoff first because the spinoff is funny because the spinoff,
That's that's all my have scenes, by the way.
fair enough. My last half scene, the spinoff, which I made it in under the wire today. I was so happy with myself. I barely managed to make it in under the wire because it was short. The thing I discovered I like about found footage movies, they're short. It's awesome. Keep being short, found
Yeah,
footage movies.
a lot of them are like an hour and a half.
Mine didn't even hit that. Most of mine were like an hour 20 at best. It was great. It was amazing. Um. Anyway, the spinoff. The spinoff comes out post Chronicle, where it's like, yeah, we're doing found footage movies, but they're not just horror movies. So now they're also superhero movies. So, in this one, you find out that it's not just one demon, but in fact, multiple demons, and and they all get marked at birth by the secret coven of witches, and when they become of a certain age, the demon manifests itself in the form of superpowers like super strength and like super speed and like flight, and like the ghost, like the demon, like is kind of your best friend at first, but then you become slowly more and more possessed by it, and they until they do one final ritual, and then you're permanently possessed, where you are normal, but you are not you.
Okay.
Where did I lose you?
You didn't. It just sounds like Chronicle.
Exactly right. And so there's scenes in this movie where it's just them testing out the superpowers, like and they're fun
It's
scenes,
just,
but it's like it's like this
it's
isn't
just, I
really
guess my
paranormal
thing.
activity.
I was gonna say my thing that you didn't lose me so much as I'm trying to follow this in my mind, and I'm just like that just doesn't sound like every other paranormal activity you've described.
Right. And so the
Like
big the
like
big
it's very much a one of these things just
right.
ain't like the other.
Well, the thing that's the through line is this witch coven. That's the reoccurring. They're the reoccurring villains. I think this is the one where you find out what their name is, and the girl from the second movie comes back, who she's the one who survived. The parents get killed. She survives. Um,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, they're called like the middle witches or whatever. They're witch covens. Yeah. Um, again, that's where find out about the sun. I think you should find out about the sons. What else? Oh, and what was interesting about that movie is it reveals what happens at the end of the first one. So at the end of the first one, it ends where she gets up in the middle of the night and she, in a trance, walks downstairs. You hear her scream. He gets up, he screams, and then he's dead. And he gets flung at the camera. but you never see what happens. So at the end of that, at the end of this spinoff, they introduced the concept of time travel, where
Of course they
the
do.
kid who gets possessed, his best friend, is also a character in this movie. He goes through a time portal to the event to the end of the first movie where he walks in, and what was interesting to me about this bit was I remembered it. That was the one thing I remembered about this movie was him going back in time to the ending of the first movie, and her
I'm
screaming.
sorry. I'm sorry. No. 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 I draw the line at time travel. No.
You know what's funny?
No. No.
You know what's funny? You've seen this movie.
No.
We went to the theater to watch this movie. You've actually seen this
I'm
movie.
sure we did. I draw the line at time
But no,
travel.
what's funny though is I remember the implication being that the reason why she screamed at the end of the first movie is because of him. He arrived there and she screamed. But what I noticed this time that's not the case. She does not react to the fact that he's there. She always screams. So the event of her screaming, him running down, going ah, and her stabbing him always happens. It always happens. Him being there did not impact that moment in time at all. And then his friend comes back or appears and kills him, and then the movie ends. And that's the end of the spinoff.
Okay.
Then Jordan, don't worry, the next one is the final Paranormal Activity movie.
Oh, so was that one of your have not scenes?
No, no, it wasn't Jordan. No, there's two more
So you
movies.
haven't.
But that's it. The
Okay.
next one's the final Paranormal Activity movie. It's where everything comes together, Jordan. It's where storylines collect. It's where they explain, Jordan. It's where we finally find out what this thing is. It's where they finally reveal all the answers, Jordan. What's your next movie? What's your final?
Mm.
What's your final? Your first had not seen.
My first have not seen is called Cloverfield.
I cannot believe
Does
you.
does that does everyone remember Cloverfield? Audience, class. Do we all remember Cloverfield?
I'm sure they did. I can't believe you. I could not believe you hadn't seen Cloverfield. When you were like, I'm going to do
No,
Cloverfield, I was like, I cannot believe you had not seen Cloverfield.
I'd seen lots of trailers for it. I knew about it. I've obviously heard about it, but no, I'd never actually sat down and watched the thing.
Here's what I will say, and tell me, I feel
It,
like
it's
you had a.
I'm gonna preface all of this before you ask me any of your questions with it is incredibly forgettable, and as these moments pass by, I am already forgetting it.
Completely fair. No, my question was more gonna be, the first time I watched it, I was like, T.J. Miller is in this movie, and he's in it way more
He's
than I
so
remember. Like
annoying.
I remember that
Oh,
movie. I
I
remember
was
that movie being in theaters. I was like, I don't remember him basically being the main character of this movie. He's so.
I was
I
so
do recall that him being annoying. I do
I
recall
was
that.
so happy when he died.
Um, but
Like I was so happy when he
the
died.
thing I liked about that movie was that movie did very much feel like, yeah, this sort of feels like an on the ground. Like I feel like I'm watching someone's like footage that like was in this event. I feel like I'm finding this footage of this monster attack.
Yeah, I believe that you could. It is also very much a horror movie.
See, I would say, but to be fair, science fiction horror is absolutely a subgenre. But I would make the argument that's more science fiction than horror.
It's still horror. You have a monster that's destroying the city. People
Yeah,
are
yeah, fair
dying.
enough. Fair enough.
It's spawning little versions of itself that when you die, you get poisoned and end up like
Yeah,
like
that's fair.
it
Fair,
is a
fair.
horror thing. Like
I do see your argument.
if Alien is a horror movie, this is a horror
I
movie.
mean, yeah, it's like I said, science fiction horror is absolutely a genre. So yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. Um,
TJ Miller is the worst.
yes, I think.
Jonah from Superstore shows up in the beginning of this movie and is the she shows up with the girl that the main character likes.
Interesting.
Um,
I am.
at the party at the very beginning.
I'm gonna say a fun fact that maybe you have the Wikipedia open on this one.
I do.
Okay, see if you can pull it. Do you have like a trivia page?
I mean, I just have Wikipedia. Let's see what's at the
So
bottom here.
so like okay, I'm gonna say a trivia bit that I feel like I've heard, but I don't know if it's true, and I'm too lazy to Google to corroborate it in this moment. But I feel like I heard or read somewhere that this movie was originally gonna be a Godzilla movie. Like it was gonna be found footage from the ground, from the perspective of the civilian about Godzilla, but they couldn't get the rights to Godzilla, which is when they redesigned the monster to be the monster that it is now.
Uh, Development. J.J. Abrams conceived a new monster after he and his son visited a toy store in Japan while promoting Mission Impossible 3. He explained, we saw all these Godzilla toys and I thought we need our own American monster
Oh,
and
so
not like
no.
King Kong.
So no.
I
So
love King
no.
Kong. King Kong
Completely
is
wrong.
adorable. And Godzilla is a charming monster. We love Godzilla, but I wanted something that was just insane and intense.
So that's so interesting. So I that truly makes me wonder. I've never been able to find anything to corroborate this. If in Godzilla 24, the monsters in that are an homage to the Cloverfield monster, because they
I
are
mean,
they're
I could believe it. They look like them.
right. You never quite see a full bore, although they have done figurines and stuff where we know what it looks like.
That's fair. I don't have a lot more to say about this movie. It's a monster movie. It's fine.
They wanted that was one of the ones they wanted that one to be a franchise that I remember about
It
that.
has it has like two sequels.
Does it have to? Well, sort of. There's sort of sequels. They're not. You mean like
I just
10?
know that that one of the links here is Cloverfield brackets franchise.
Yeah, there's 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is not real. They're kind of not really. The third one
Clo-
was
there-
retroactively
there's
like
there's Cloverfield, there's 10 Cloverfield Lane, there's the Cloverfield Paradox,
yeah,
and there's untitled fourth Cloverfield film.
yeah, kind of not really. It's hard to explain without getting into the weeds of it. But yeah, kind of not really would be how I would say
Um,
that.
but that's really all I have to say about Cloverfield.
Cloverfield.
Tell me about the last Paranormal Activity, Justin.
Oh, it's not, sorry, last.
Unless you have more to
Oh,
say or
the
discuss about
the
Cloverfield.
one thing I would say about Cloverfield is that's another one I worked at the movie theater when it came out, and I remember when that came out and it was on our biggest screen at that theater, and I remember people that was making people motion sick. Like I remember, it kind of made me motion sick when I would do theater checks, but I remember people would like run out of the theater and vomit, like it was making them ill because it's just so shaky. And
Interesting.
watching it on my television screen at home, I'm like, it's not so bad, but I was like, yeah, I could see it. And I didn't feel that
Interesting.
for really any of these. Really, even some of the worst Paranormal Activity movies.
No, I didn't either.
So during the last Paranormal Activity movie, it's Paranormal Activity Ghost Dimension, and so during this one, we're just gonna skip to a spoiler right. During there's a family they moved into the house from Paranormal Activity 3. So this movie is less of a sequel to Paranormal Activity 4 and more a sequel to Paranormal Activity 3 because it takes place in the house from Paranormal Activity 3. Hold on.
3 or 2? I thought you said 2.
3. So for Paranormal Activity 3. They
Okay.
move, yeah. That's important because he finds the camera and the tapes. Oh yeah, there's a big plot point in Paranormal Activity 3 where the framing device is there's these tapes and that's what all of the events of Paranormal Activity is on these cassette tapes, these VHS tapes. And so um this husband and his brother finds the tapes from Paranormal Activity 3. So it's the movie, you know what I mean? Like the in-universe tapes that they
Yeah, I get
yeah,
it. Yeah.
and they're partially the tapes from 1988 or whatever, and they're partially tapes from a new 1992. And Katie and Christy are now older, but they're still little girls. Um, and they find the camera from the third movie, and the camera can now see Toby.
Cool.
So like they like and they so the big gimmick in this one is there's scenes where like he's just like a floating amorphous like black blob, and it's not really scary because you can literally see him. So the entire thing of this franchise that was scary in the first movie, where it's like fear of the unknown, like what is this? What like oh it's a big black thing, the black smoke, like it's not really all that
Yes.
scary, yeah. Um,
Hmm.
and so the other thing is on these tapes, there's these tapes of the little girls. They can essentially see they're in 1992, and they can see what's happening in the present day. So like they can see the little girl. The guy has a little girl, a daughter. Like they can see her bedroom. Like they're describing them in the room in the moment. And it's like these are tapes. These are VHS tapes from 1992. It's like it's this impossible thing.
Hmm.
And also paranormal activity game and shit happening. Um, and so then it turns out that um, movie happens. The girl becomes progressively more and more attached to Toby, whatever. And then it turns out that the whole thing about needing a boy wasn't actually true. Oh, also, this is the only one where Katie doesn't come back. She doesn't come back at all. And also, Hunter doesn't really come back. You kind of see him once, and he's like on the tapes in 1992, even though he hasn't been born yet. Because, this franchise has introduced time travel. And also, like,
No, it
seeing.
hasn't. Shut up. That's
And like
stupid. No, I draw the
and
line.
like and like seeing into the future, like like in the moment, it's very confusing. Anyway, so
Uh,
so it turns out that they didn't actually need the firstborn son. What they just needed a boy, two children who were born on the same day, so that they could go through a ritual that will give Toby a body. Because Jordan, guess what? Turns out Toby is actually Asmodeus, the seventh king of hell.
okay. And he decided to haunt this one house?
Right, that's my thing, right, George? So it's okay. He's Asmodeus. So you know who Asmodeus, the seventh son
I
of
mean,
hell
I,
is.
I, I know. I don't need to know who he is specifically to hear when you say seventh, like, son of hell. Like that's a certain level of power and distinction,
It's
even
funny,
without knowing specifically who he is, to the point where I'm like, I mean, does my man not have minions that he could be like? Why is he himself doing this?
right?
That feels like that's way below his pay grade.
Right. Well, it's fine. It's okay.
Like that feels like you send like Todd, the first accountant of hell, to go and deal with this
Right.
peasant family,
Right.
while
Well,
you're dealing with like the Queen of England
so
or like the president.
so it's funny. So okay. So it's funny. So it's funny, right? So like, yes, very much valid. But you're like you just know by name. You recently finished Supernatural. He was one of the bad guys in season 13 of Supernatural. So like he's Supernatural levels of big bad guy. So like he seems like a bigger deal than moving some furniture around. Like
Yeah,
that's where I'm like so once you know he's like okay he's a demon, yeah, that's less scary. Wait, so he's like a big bad demon of hell. So is the moving furniture part of it? Like, is it a sexual thing? I mean, it's fine if it's a it's fine. It's just what's with the moving of the furniture? Like, is that? It's I don't understand why. Why? Why?
yeah.
And it's not. It's
Like
again. It's not scary. It's
like
just not
is the idea
scary.
that he has to like strengthen the fear, like it's the fear that gives him power. Like if you're gonna make it so okay, if you're gonna make it that he's some big important thing, and that like he can't access all his powers right away, then you as the movie have to establish that okay, he can't just immediately jump to a 13 on the power o meter. He
Right?
has to slowly work his way into their hearts and their minds and make them afraid of him, and that's why he can then draw on more of his power, because it's based on their fear. Like you have to justify it, is
Right.
what
Well,
I'm
they kind
saying.
of do a thing of like, oh, you have to give him attention, and the more attention you give him, the more power he gets. But like, he seems to have just a shit ton of power, like off the bat. And like I said earlier, he has enough like power, like telekinetically anyway, to pretzel a guy. And like he, all he does in
And
the first movie,
this feels poorly
and it just makes
poorly
like
defined
it just makes the
and
first movie
doesn't make
make
sense.
less sense retroactively because you're like, wait, he can pretzel a guy, but like night 18, he's just opening and closing a door. Like again, why? Why is he doing that? And it's only you only asking these questions because they're like because every movie like it needs to go bigger. So they're like, yeah, he's Asmodeus, seventh. What? So okay, wait. So I don't understand. So why? What did they need Katie for? What did it need Katie for? And like, why so
Yeah, this
specifically
sounds.
Hunter? If you just needed the other little girl, why? If it was just about two people, surely there was at least like other. Why did you make it seem like it seemed like it was initially like it was gonna possess Hunter? Why did it change randomly? And like, why did it need a body? I don't understand.
This sounds dumb. This sounds dumb, and I wish to no longer think
And
about
so
this.
all right. So yeah, so big finale. Um, Turns out they need the two kids to give Asmodeus a body. That's the whole point. He can get a human body. So there's the whole thing throughout the movie. There's this ghost dimension that there's a portal that's in the little girl's bedroom that connects to 1992. And the whole thing is they realize that Toby is like, because the little girl's like, Toby's gonna take me away. Toby's gonna take me away. So they realize that Toby is gonna take her away to 1992. And then Toby does just that, takes her away to 1992, gets her blood, and then he gets a human body and kills the mom. Everyone dies. Everyone's dead. And now Toby has a body. Asmodeus, seven. And it's never made clear what the witches get out of him like out of giving him the firstborn. They never say what they get out of that other than vaguely money and power, and they never say.
I mean, if he's the prince of hell or whatever, I mean, yeah, money and power. That's what they're getting. He's a
Sorry,
demon lord.
sorry. I also forgot to mention. They now introduce a cult leader who is a male, despite the fact that
Is him being male like super relevant?
yeah, because the rest of the cult is it's witches. It's all female, and every time you
Oh,
see them up until
except
this
for
point,
him.
except for him, and it's funny because the I forgot to mention there's a scene at the end of because the whole thing is it's like Hispanic people in a ghetto, and one of the guys who gets possessed by one of the demons in that movie, his brother is a gangster, and so the end of the movie they go to try to rescue.
Gangster.
Yeah, like ghetto, like actual ghetto, like yeah. So the end of the movie, they show up to rescue the main guy who's being possessed, and they just show up with a bunch of guns. Like the one guy's got like a machine gun, and the other guy's got like a shotgun, and like the evil like cult witches start like running after them with like knives and trying to like stab them and stuff and kill them, and the guy just like shoots her with a shotgun, and they become decidedly less scary because it's like, yeah, that's a pretty simple solution to this. He's just like bang, and it was like, yeah, that did it. And they become
That'll do
decidedly,
the trick.
yeah, they become, and it's just the rest of the movie. Just said bang, bang, and then he just goes off screen, and you're like, yeah, he's got a shotgun. He's gonna be fine. He'll be fine. He's gonna be fine. He'll be fine. Um. So yeah. So end of that movie. Asmodeus now has a body, and that's supposedly they said at the time this is the last Paranormal Activity movie. Also, this completely contradicts the first movie because this one says 1992. Katie's at least 13 to 14 years old. And, like, first movie, she doesn't remember any of this. Any of this. Any of this. So, like, okay. Going into the. So, they said this is the last one. This is the last one. This has wrapped up all the storylines. Asmodeus has won. He has a body. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is where this ends. He won. He takes over the world, I guess. That's what he gets out of it. Like, it's never really made, because he's super powerful without a body. They never say what he gets out of having a body. They never say, like, oh, by gaining a body, he rules for, like, 1,000 years of darkness. They never say, like, oh, he's only half powered, and by gaining a body, he gains full power. They never explain. He just has a really creepy, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just sort of formless, kind of shapeless body thing, and he's a man now. So before I let you get to your final haven't seen, they said this is the final one. There's one more, which is the actual most recent one. So Asmodeus, now a man. The evil cult of witches has won, and he is a man. He has a body. Then it's this next movie. I'm reading about it. It says Asmodeus is back, and I'm like, so how is he back? So like, what is this movie gonna be now? Because I sort of feel like people are gonna notice if he's just a man just standing there like opening, closing a door, like, ooh, Azzy, man, we can see you. We can see when you move the sheets, we can see you now. You have a body. You can't it's not the same anymore. Leave.
I mean, unless it's going to
Leave.
be about his brother, the sixth king of hell.
Also named Asmodeus?
No. Yeah. I don't know.
These movies are
Sure.
bad. Anyway, what's your final one you hadn't seen, Jordan?
So, have you ever heard of the movie Searching?
No. I'm not actually.
It's sort of an interesting take on the found footage. It's a more modern take, if you will. So Cold Notes version. The entire movie is set on computer screens and smartphones and things of that nature.
Sorry to interrupt real quick. One thing I forgot, I have to running thread the footage not being believable. No, absolutely, we've stopped hitting the point of no, I don't believe this footage is found. Um, the thing these movies now do is remember how I mentioned the second one introduced the concept of switching between cameras. Well, this last one does that. It switches between cameras, except for there's only one camera, and it switches between rooms that are happening in the same moment, and it doesn't make any sense because it's always the ghost camera, and it's impossible because it's one camera, and it doesn't justify it, and it's just like yeah, the once again the found footage is just an aesthetic. Anyway, sorry, continue. I had to mention that because it's gonna come back one more time in the final one. But sorry, I prevent that. Go on, continue. Sorry, I apologize.
Um, so the entirety of this movie is set on computer screens and smartphones.
Oh, interesting.
So that's the found footage element of this.
Kind of like what we.
Um,
Is this the one? Hold on. I want to take a crack at this. Is this the one with Oh, I can't remember his actual name. So I'm just gonna say the character name I know. Harold from Harold Kumar.
yep.
Yeah. Oh, I've always wanted to see this movie. I hear it's really good.
It is a really good one.
Yeah, I hear it's really
It's a
interesting.
mystery thriller. So I
I hear
actually
it's taken on Facebook Messenger.
that's part of it. It's
Yeah.
got Facebook Messenger, it's got Instagram, it's got Tumblr, it's got like all the websites you would
Yeah.
think.
It
Um,
makes me think of
I'm
that.
not gonna give away. I'm actually because I actually would like you to watch this movie.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see it.
Like this is genuinely. It had some twists in there that I thought it was gonna go one way,
Yeah.
and then it went a different way.
Is it
So I don't want to give away the final kind of big twist.
fair enough?
Um,
I would like to
but
know that. Yeah.
but I'm gonna try and do a little bit more of a spoiler version of this. So Cold Note's story of what the movie's about. Basically, his daughter goes missing,
Yeah.
and he's looking for her.
Yeah.
Um,
It's him.
that's
And
the
it's him
Cold Notes
like
version.
it's him. It's basically the version of like reaching out to your kids' friends on social media, and you
Yeah,
seeing
trying to
it from the
find that
perspective
her
of
and
social media.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
One I've always wanted to
it's
watch.
a really fascinating like kind of because this came out in 2018.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting that kind of time period,
For sure.
but um, um, it had basically there's one character in it that like from the beginning I was like it's gonna be that character. Like there's something about him that's setting my like my radar alarm kind of off. And there's a certain point in the movie where it's like they tee that up basically. They tee up
Um.
that red herring, and like I'm like I knew it, right? And then it goes off in a completely different direction, and I'm like, really?
Yeah. No, I've heard
Really? Okay.
John Cho. I've heard incredible performance from John Cho. Like I've heard he's
Oh, he
phenomenal.
does such a good job.
Yeah, I've heard
He
he's
does
so
such a
good.
good job
I've
in
heard he's
this.
so good.
Um, it's hard to talk about it without going into more details,
Is
but
it
overall,
is it on something, or
it's
do I have to seek it by Yaharing? You know,
I mean, I have it.
Yahar.
I can give it to you.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I will. I do. It's one I want to watch, and I have
Um,
some days
but
off coming up.
it had a but it's currently here's what I'll say. currently it's on the TV.
Gotcha. Good to know. Good to know. Good to know.
Um,
Do you have anything to say that
but
you could
it
say without giving it away?
yeah, yeah, that the budget of this thing, it had a budget of $880,000, and
Really?
it did a box office of 75.6 million.
Big hit?
So it did very well considering its budget.
Yeah, yeah,
Which
yeah.
I mean, when
I
you
mean,
watch it
again,
and
I've
when you
heard
see that most of
tremendous
it's
things.
when you see that most of it's on, yeah, most of it's like Facebook chat and Facebook stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense why it would have been so cheap.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it's mostly just people in a room, one room. Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
probably no. That was the other thing about Paranormal Activity. 7 days shot in 7 days. That movie.
So yeah, maybe what we'll do is like we'll do a special thing on next episode during rapid fire, where I'll give you a free pass where I want you to talk about this one.
Fair enough. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
a
Is that
free pass. It can be unrelated to the topic we're gonna do. I just want you to watch this so we can properly talk about it.
fair enough? Anything else you had to say about this that you can't say about this?
Not that I can say without spoiling it.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
So
Okay.
so this is a challenge to the audience as well. You guys all go watch this movie, and we'll
What
all
was it
talk
called?
about
One
it.
more time. One more time. Say it one
It's
more time.
called Searching.
Searching. Searching. Okay, Jordan.
Came out in 2018, and it has the dude from Harold and Kumar in it.
Okay, Jordan. Okay. Okay. Final
Let's bring
Paranormal
let's bring
Activity movie.
let's bring this home, buddy. Let's go this final bout.
Good news, Jordan. Good news because this one is a reboot. We're talking reboot, Jordan. So we don't. It's not. We're not even. Jordan, don't even
Good.
worry.
Good thing.
Good thing. So Jordan, this one.
Good thing.
This one. There's a girl, and her mom left her at a hospital, and she's found out that her mom belongs to this Amish community, and so she gets her and her film crew friends because Jordan, this movie needs to justify the fact that there's a camera. And so they're making a documentary about her finding her mom. And so pretty much, Jordan, at this point, the concept of the found footage movie is dead because it's just a movie now. It's no longer a found. It's just a documentary. It's just a movie. So like, there's shots that are like, yeah, it's just. It's not. It's really gotten so far away of like one person with like one camera. Like it's just not. It's too professional looking at points because it is because it's clearly they've just got there. It's again. It's just doing the aesthetic without actually feeling like it's found footage. It's trying to look like it's found footage while not actually being found. If that makes any sense at this point.
Sure.
And so, yeah. So it turns out, Jordan, that this girl's mom, got pregnant. And
There you go.
She was a wild child, and she wanted to escape because it turns out, Jordan, that this community that we think is Amish, they aren't actually Amish, Jordan. They are a cult that worships. You'll never guess who, Jordan. The demon.
Asmaranthian.
No, you're so close. Asmodeus, the demon.
That was it. I got it. I nailed it on the first try.
I did it.
Also,
I did it.
also, some would argue that just Amish and that all is already a cult.
I mean, we're not gonna do that here. Anyway, Asmodeus. They're not actually Amish, and it turns out, Jordan, that basically the movie wants you to think.
Asmalonga Ding Dong.
It turns out, Jordan, that the movie wants you to think that they're the bad guys, but they eons and eons ago, one of their flock or whatever, a white witch, took the demon Asmodeus and sealed it into her body. And ever since then, instead of it being male, firstborn male, is now firstborn female. It passes female to female, and once the girl's at a certain age, the demon has to pass into them, and they hold on to the demon. And so the girl's mother, the main girl's mother, in the hopes that she could spare the daughter from that, gave up the daughter to the hospital so that she wouldn't have to do that. But now the demon must be passed into her. Otherwise, if it doesn't pass into her, the demon can then just kind of possess whoever it wants and become anyone. But also, it's still the paranormal activity demon, so he does all the other paranormal activity stuff. So like,
such as move a chair or open a door
or drop plates from a high height, or
drag bodies.
Drag bodies, or like sometimes it lifts a knife up into the air and hangs it there, and you forget it's there. and then as a really cheap jump scare, it drops the knife, and you're like, "Jeez." Like, like that. Like the first one is legitimately
So
creepy. These are just it's just a lot of cheap jump scares that aren't really you're like, oh mother or it's like people like running in like visually indiscernible like camera shots and like seeing it of a person being creepy and be like, oh. It's like, like that bit from South Park. I'm so startled. I'm so
I'm
startled.
so startled.
Um
So could someone have found this footage?
Okay, no, based on how it ends. So, okay, so you get to the end. They're about to prepare the girl to be possessed by the demon, and the girl's friend stops it. She stops her from being possessed by the demon, and so the demon,
Like a good friend
right,
does.
because they've interrupted the ceremony, the demon is now free to possess whoever he wants. So he possesses the one of the Amish who's their friend and kills everybody and gets in a car and drives away. And the movie is this over the shoulder shot of him driving while like folk music plays. Like just whimsical folk, and he's just like driving a car. It's just this demon possessed guy, like da 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 da, and it's like it's super weird. So no,
Well, alrighty then.
because I don't think that last one's really a found footage movie. It's like beyond sharing a name with the I guess villain. So I guess just they're never gonna reconcile the fact that the demon has a body now. I don't know. Jordan, this movie has a convoluted lore. Would you describe this lore as being convoluted, Jordan?
I would describe it as being bad.
Yes, but another adjective you might use be convoluted?
Yes, unnecessarily so.
Which you should have said if it will end this conversation. Yes.
Yes, yes, I would.
But
I
you,
would say whatever it takes for me to no longer think about paranormal activity.
Jordan, those movies were very bad. Jordan,
Sounds like it.
once again to
Justin,
conclude,
it sounds like the word of the day yet again, because you just cannot get enough of this word, is masochism.
Jordan, Jordan is my greatest challenge yet. 7 paranormal activity movies. But Jordan, to my original thesis, and then to the assignment for next week. Jordan, the
Thesis.
the only good one is the first one. Would you agree with me that the only good one is the first one? Have I thoroughly convinced you?
Having not watched any of them and just having gone off of your rambly, tired talk of it, yes, I would say the first one was the only good one.
Yes. With that, Jordan, the next week's assignment. Jordan, I know we had discussed keeping it a mystery, but then I'm like, I don't know. Should we make it a real celebration? Jordan, let me ask you. Let me ask you. Should we reveal next week's topic now?
Yeah.
Jordan, we're gonna do Canada Day. Next week's Canada Day, everybody. And we couldn't decide um if we if we want to do it on Canada Day itself. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll leave that up in the air. Maybe we'll do it on Canada Day. But next week's gonna be Canada Day, so it's Canada related movies. Yeah, it's got to be about Canada.
Uh,
It's got to be made in Canada.
Canada.
Hold on, George, let me finish. It's got to be made in Canada. It's got to be okay. These are the criteria: made in Canada, about Canada, or features Canada in a prominent way. Like, say, perhaps it's a musical film where Canada is a major antagonist for a part of it. Maybe it's that. Maybe. Maybe. Who knows? But Canada. It's Canada Day next week, everybody. And maybe we'll be live on Canada Day itself. Maybe we won't be. Maybe it'll be the day before Canada Day. But you'll know because I'll tell you. Because I always tell everybody when we're going live. But watch Canada films, everyone. Canada is where we live.
Oh, Canada.
Where we live.
Oh,
Let's
Canada.
let's mercifully end this, Jordan. Let's end this. Jordan, stop.
Our home and
No, stop.
native land.
Stop. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much.
True.
No. Anyway, that's for next week. Canada Day next week. Thanks for sticking it out with me. I'm so tired. It's made me loopy. I've lost it, everybody. This went off the rail. This was supposed to be 2 hours. It's probably 3 hours.
This went off the rail 12 parsecs ago.
It went off the rails 5 paranormal activity movies ago. I would give this show 4 paranormal activities out of 5.
That was 4 paranormal activities too many.
I mean, it was too many. They should have done it after 2. No
So
late.
this was brought to you by the Goosebumps crew and the One Night in Horror.
Yeah. I'm having fun. Get off my back. I'm having fun. I'll do the outro. You piss off. Um, yes, this is that. This has been. Thank you once again to the Goosebumps crew. Seriously, go back to go back to Kickstarter. It's a good cause. It'll be super cool. It'll be super fun. Thanks to them to sponsoring. Jordan, where can they find you?
I do Minecraft Mondays on ZethGore187 on Twitch, and I do Minecraft Mondays.
People used to
And on
watch
here.
me. People used to watch me on TikTok. I still link it. You can email the show. It's justicebusiness@gmail.com. Um, you can join our Discord. I try to keep the Discord link updated, but it expires every 7 days, and I have a life. Um, tomorrow. Jordan, unfortunately can't be joining us, but I'm gonna surprise. I'm gonna surprise promote it. I'm gonna be on the Part of Your Broadway podcast world. She's going live. It's her 1 year anniversary. I'm gonna try to keep up with the Tonys. I said I would. I'm gonna be real honest with you. I'm exhausted, so I'm gonna do a lot of passing out in the next 24 hours. So I'm gonna do my best, but I'm gonna be on that. That's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool. I'm excited to do that. That's tomorrow, 11:30 Pacific Standard Time, and whatever that is Eastern Time. Check that out. That's gonna be cool. See you next week, guys. Happy Canada Day next week.
Yeah.